Oh my goodness. Hey everybody and welcome. Oh my gosh. I don't know about anybody else, but December has crept up on me and I am just in chaotic mode thinking that today is December 1st, but there's so many special holiday goodies going on. And we all know I have said this for years and I say it every time on Author Talk. The best gift that you can give anyone is a book to read. So we have so many authors, holiday specials. This year is a little bit different than most years. So if you've tuned in, we usually do it 12 straight days, different offers and different authors every night. This year, Amy temporarily lost her head when we moved and Meadow started school. And so I'm just now getting back into the groove of things. Perfect timing around the holidays. So it's going to be a little bit different. It is a free for all. So we have authors that will be coming and popping in throughout the whole time that Dina and I are on. Dina's going to pop off to watch Yellowstone, but she will be back. And so we're going to be talking about all kinds of holiday stuff, holiday promotions, holiday goodies. So if you're watching this and the link is there, you are more than welcome to come and party and hang out with us. If not, you're going to hear a lot of jibber jabbering from me and Dina talking about all kinds of holiday stuff, traditions, and books that we like to read. So before I introduce some of the authors that are waiting and they talk to you about their holiday promotions, I am curious, Dina, what is your favorite book or genre to read around the holiday times?
I don't really change up what I'm reading from, non-holiday to holiday.
Really?
Now, you know that I've been on my semi-annual binge of J.D. Robb. So I am completely and totally caught up with all 55 or 60 books. I finished them all. So
okay.
Now I'm reading some books for the awards. And I started reading one. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I'm staying anonymous, but it's pretty good. So I'm going to read all three of those.
that is just not fair. We don't like anonymous things, Dina.
Well, I'll bring it up after the end of the year. I'll tell you afterwards, and after the awards is over, then you can announce Dina was reading this.
Can you just text it to me and then I'll just allude to it and hint to it? I don't know about any of you guys. I'm really impatient, especially around the holiday times. I'm super impatient. And I know that there are authors waiting. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop in, Dina, and get to authors. My favorite book to read around the holiday time is no book. Not even going to lie to you. I am gung-ho in Christmas movies. Not Hallmark. I'm Hallmarked out. Okay. Netflix is kind of my go-to currently in what I'm doing. So I take a break from reading and dive into just some holiday movies. And I don't really know why I do that. But
you have to watch Arthur Christmas.
Oh, yeah. That's my favorite.
We watched it for Savannah's, I think she was like 4 or something when it came out. And she didn't want to have anything to do with it. But me and Alex, who's 30, were like glued to it. And I was like, oh my God, we got to watch it again. I think the first weekend, we watched it like 10 times that weekend. We just kept watching it over and over again.
Oh, it is my favorite for sure. But I do know that also thriller, suspense, psychological thrillers are pretty popping and hopping around the holiday times for whatever reason. I don't know. But they are, yes. Oh, Bjorn, Christmas Vacation. I'm getting Christmas Vacation cookies for a holiday exchange between me and my sisters. And it's not, the happy-go-lucky. It's the one of all the like really good sayings in Christmas Vacation, like blank is full and, it's a Butte Clark, those kinds of ones, because I just love those sayings. But let's dive in. Russell. Hey, Russell, happy holidays.
It's Christmas. We're all supposed to be miserable.
Well, I don't know.
That's my favorite line from that movie. A Christmas Vacation. It's Christmas and we're all supposed to be miserable. We actually say that to each other during Christmas, laughing about it because, there's truth in the joke.
My favorite one is when the lights come on and he's like, I don't know, Margot. Just the attitude. I'm like, this is me. That's definitely what I would do. So I don't know. I just love that one.
I watched it in probably 20 years. I can't tell you what it is. I don't remember it. I've been drunk since then. Sorry.
I don't know that I've watched it in 20 years either, but for 20 years, we've told that joke during Christmas, when things get a little
It
stressful.
just stuck.
Yeah.
So more
A
than
bit.
joke stuck, more than
It's Christmas and we're all supposed to be miserable. Okay, I
Yeah.
got another story to tell you about the holidays.
Tell me.
I was going to save this till author talk, but I got to tell you.
Yeah.
So, this, uh, I flew to Houston with my wife to see both my sons and their wives, and to see my daughter and her husband and my three daughters and their new puppy. And this is symbolic of the chaos that was there. The first night I was sitting having a glass of wine on the couch, and one 3-year-old twin grabbed her sister, and they went over to the back door, and she opened it. She's 3 years old, and she had to unlock it to open it.
Wow.
She
Okay.
opened it, and I'm like, Patrick, is this a thing? And she grabbed her sister by the hair, threw her out, pushed her outside, slammed the door. She's 3, and locked it. And when I said, "Don't do that," she looked at me and laughed. That was my week.
Welcome to girls. Like having
I know.
nothing but girls. Welcome to that.
I know. It's scary. What are they going to be like when they're 13?
Well, it wasn't that bad. I grew up with a
No,
bunch
I
of
know.
girls, and we pulled each other's hair. My sister, Russell, just to give you some tidbit into maybe your future, definitely your daughter's future. My sister, my number 2 sister, when you would make her mad, I would take off running, and then I would get to the stairs and haul it. Well, she's the tallest. She would reach over the stairway, whatever that is, like balcony or whatever, and grab me by my hair and pull me up the stairs. Okay, girls are vicious.
Okay,
Okay.
I have another story about the twins. They're vicious. So on the third night that I come up, Eleanor, one of the 3-year-olds, has a black eye. And I
Okay.
said, "Katie, what happened to Eleanor?" She said, "Well, I asked her this afternoon, and she said, Daphne's her twin sister. She said, Daphne goes, oh."
yeah. It whenever
I
it
love it.
starts off, well, I asked her, or I asked him.
Yeah.
So that's how all the good stories start for kids. I asked her. For adults,
Exactly.
it's hold my beer.
So the good story about books is I met this professor in a cigar bar where I escaped every day from the chaos to have a cigar and get some
Naturally.
peace. And he's written 15 books, and we both read a lot of Proust and other books, and we would talk about it. And so the second day, I gave him a copy of my 2 books. I said, "Here, read these." He's very excited about it. So
Nice.
every day he was reading the book when I would come in to get a cigar, and he'd have questions about it. And I looked over uh, the book he was reading of mine, and it was bent up. You know how paperbacks get bent as they get worn as people read them?
Yeah, you
Yes.
crack the spine.
And I got to tell you, that's the greatest feeling as an author in the world when you see one of your books that's getting worn out from people handling it and reading it. It's a great feeling.
I could picture that. See, I am more about, I don't know, but there's certain things about having things immaculate, when I buy them and not damaging them. And then there must be because I have children that I just don't get to enjoy that. So, because I have your books and I am it's pristine and there's
I am
no
too. I'm very
cracks.
careful. But
Yeah.
it never occurred to me before till I saw my book, spread up, spread down, the sheets worn, the pages worn.
Yeah.
Wow, what a feeling that is.
That
And I
means
got
you're
a deal.
seeing
I
it
got a
everywhere.
Yeah, I've got my Christmas deal that I'm offering is people if they would like an autographed copy of my book, uh if they for the next 10 days, if they go to Facebook Russell Stories and message me their name and address and that they would like a book, then I'll watch for it and I'll give them my address and they can imagine. We're charging $14.95 for the books. I'll charge $7.50 at 50% off for and I will pay for the UPS to send them a book.
Oh wow! I love, and the Russell Stories is tagged in. I know, and free shipping. Oh my gosh, the Russell Stories is tagged in on this post, so you can click on that to go straight to it. I will also tag it in the comments. But Russell, look at you! Oh my gosh, I would love an autographed book. I already have your book though, so the next time I see you, I'm gonna just become like your stalker fan. I'm just gonna start yelling and chasing after you like one of those crazy people, and be like, "I need your autograph."
You have my autograph all over your office.
I know, but still.
And all sorts of things.
I know, but I'm just gonna hunt you down with the books that I have and been like, "Excuse me, sir, I need your autograph. Don't walk away from me." Yeah, I can totally do that, but that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna hunt you down, and I'm gonna do that. But Russell, what kind of books do you like to read? Do you switch genres at the holiday times, or what? What is your
actually? I don't switch books. I'm like Dina about that, but I do watch movies at Christmas that I never watch. On the flight from Houston to Atlanta this morning at 5 a.m., I watched Die Hard, which is my main Christmas movie.
Oh,
That's a Christmas movie.
I love it.
I love it.
But because the actor that plays Snape, in Harry Potter, plays the bad guy, and he is the best dressed villain I've ever seen in my life. I wish I could dress as well as that.
He was great in Robin Hood. He made Robin Hood because of his line delivery. His dialogue in it was awesome. Do y'all even remember Robin Hood? No.
Yes, and he's also a great Shakespearean actor.
Well, he
before all that, and I actually preferred him in that. But that's where he really perfected that pronunciation of his that was so beautiful.
So would you say is Die Hard your favorite Christmas movie, or do you have like one that? Because Die Hard is debatable. Some people say it's a Christmas movie, some say it's not. I definitely think it is. I grew up watching those in Lethal Weapon around Christmas time because Christmas takes place in it. So I am team it's a Christmas movie. But do you have anyone that's like you have to watch it every holiday? That's like your go-to, or is it Die Hard?
Well, right now before I came on the show. I'm over in the mountains of Georgia, so it's 7 o'clock here instead of 6. And so we were eating before, and we were watching A Miracle on 34th Street.
The original one, or the
original
remake?
one, not the remake. The remake's crap.
Yeah.
The original.
Yeah. See, I think my favorite holiday movie, I like the old schools, the black and whites, but my favorite one is The Holiday Inn. And I don't know if it's because of the backstory that I learned from it or what, but that's my favorite one because that's actually the first place that they filmed a movie in that house. It wasn't a White Christmas. That was after the fact. But I don't know why, but I just love The Holiday Inn. So I make the kids watch it. We watch it in black and white and we watch it in color. I have bought them on Amazon because I don't have a DVD player. But that's like my favorite go-to movie is The Holiday Inn. I love it. I don't know why.
See, I feel like such a Grinch. I don't watch Christmas movies. Never have. I've never seen.
You watched Die Hard.
Yeah, you have. You watched Die Hard.
That's Christmas movie.
But now my ex-husband, he wanted to watch A Christmas Story every year.
That's a good one. Shoot your eye out.
6 years, 7 years. I refused to watch it. I have never watched it. I just no. I don't do Christmas. Sorry.
All right, so.
In fact, one of the things that my wife and I fight about every year for like 30 years since A Christmas Story comes on, because TBS runs 24 hours of A Christmas Story every Christmas. Right. And I always put it on that and want to play that all day, and it makes her so mad. She's just like you, Dina.
See, A Christmas Story wasn't really my favorite.
They've been doing it for like 20 years now. And it's just,
yeah. They get people like me turning it on, leaving it on until the football game starts.
Oh, yeah.
I watched Back to Black last night. I guess that'll be my Christmas movie. Back to Black, the Amy Winehouse. The soundtrack was amazing.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's what I do at Christmas.
Okay. So Russell, for those of us, I know what your books are about, but for those of us that don't know what your books are about, what genre do you write in, and what are the main, quick summaries of your book?
I write psycho murder thrillers.
Hey, let me see the inside.
You mean this brilliant black?
Oh,
Who thought of that? Who thought of
Dina.
that?
Dina did.
Dina.
Yeah.
I got 3 people this week while I was in Houston that commented about that.
Mm-hmm.
They've never seen it before. They thought that was so cool. You hit a home run on that. Dina, you're a genius.
So,
That's all I got to
I'm
say.
not gonna say it's the first time I've ever done it, but I've been doing books like that for 10 years.
But it's beautiful and people love it.
Yeah, I think it fits with, like dark books or suspenseful books.
Right.
I am doing one that's a poetry book right now that goes from white to gray to darker gray to black as the poetry gets.
That's cool. It
darker.
fades. I like it.
I wonder what the psychology of the writer was. I mean, is that the way they evolved?
Ex-military. So I'm thinking they probably got a little bit of blackness. So
I understand. Anyway, so that's what I write. My last book, Murder by Storm, for those who don't know, is written. It's a murder thriller that happens during a hurricane because we've all ridden out hurricanes. We know what that's like. But unless you see it for yourself, you can't believe stuff that you see and you go through. You can't believe it, and you can't believe that you go through it. And I wanted to write about it. And so I can't think of anything better than having a murder crime novel that you do during a hurricane because everything's different. Evidence gets washed away. Police officers are busy.
they don't have the time.
Yeah.
Like the one that actually happened.
You have evidence that can just be washed away. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just seeing all the brilliance in that, if you've watched a lot of like true crime stuff, this is brilliant. Brilliant.
So alligators can come out.
Oh yes, true.
Easy body disposal.
You can tell that me and Dina have read a lot of these kinds of books. Like you can just tell. Like that's
talk about this a lot.
You know the trouble with it though? You write a book, how can I get rid of all the evidence? And then in the next book, which I'm working on right now, it's how do you figure out who did it anyway?
Yeah. No, I know. I feel you. I get it. 100%.
See, that's my go-to to read though, is like police procedural. And I promise it's not because I'm planning the perfect murder. I do that on my own.
In your own time.
Right before I'm going to sleep. That's how I relax myself to go to sleep.
Oh my goodness. We're learning a lot about Dina today. We're learning about a lot. About
a lot of anger there. First we're talking about what was it? She had about Christmas Vacation. And then Christmas Story. A lot of anger about a Christmas Story.
No.
A lot of anger about a Christmas story. There is a lot of anger about a Christmas story.
No, we love it. But Russell, we love it even more that you took some time out of your evening and away from A Christmas Story to come and hang out and talk to us about your books and let everybody know about your holiday special this evening. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So you guys, coming up next is Bjorn. Good old Bjorn. Bjorn, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Oh, I am good. I'm loving you over here in the little comment section. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm having a blast with all you guys like back here in the waiting room. This has just been great. The Grinch is another good one. A Christmas Carol. Oh, Julie, that's a good one. We're going to have to talk about that. And then the Christmas. Oh, fudge, but I didn't say fudge. Yes. So many classic lines from A Christmas Story.
Everything Dina doesn't like, I like.
I know. That's okay. That's okay because that's mostly me. Everything that I love, Dina doesn't love. But Dina loves pink and loves flamingos, as if you cannot tell from her background. That is her favorite. Where I'm okay with pink. I really like red. So it's, one of those Home Alone movies. Oh, yes, Kim, I can't wait to talk to you about Home Alone movies. Those are awesome movies. And it helps because I have a brother-in-law whose name is Kevin. And so every time around the holidays, I'm just like, Kevin! You just yell his name. It's just a stress reliever, and it's great. But Bjorn, what is your favorite holiday movie? Is it the Christmas Vacation and the Thing? Do you have more than one? Do you watch a wide array? What is your go-to for the holiday?
Oh, the big two. It's got to be Christmas Vacation and A Christmas Story. It's got to be those two.
Those are good. Those are good. Christmas Vacation is just classic. Drum roll, and the lights don't even turn on, and then you have the brother-in-law who's all like, your shitter's full. Oh, it's just classic. I'm going to have to watch that movie before I go home for the holidays, for sure.
Multiple times every year. Multiple times.
Yeah. Yes, I feel like it's like a year-round movie. I feel like all of us can relate to the Griswolds at some point in time, for sure. But Dina's not a Christmas movie person. So, Bjorn, do you read a different genre at the holidays, or do you not read like me? What is your plan for the holidays when it comes to reading?
Well, I got my reading list I'm trying to knock out, but it got interrupted by the holidays. So I guess the answer would be no, nothing right now.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy how the holidays can do that? And they sneak up on you. I feel like Thanksgiving was so late this year that it has thrown everything off for me. Like I don't know, maybe it's because I'm also in Texas that I just don't feel like it's the holidays because it's not cold here. I don't know. And not that we need snow because I can't deal with snow. But
it finally cooled off here. We're in the 20s right now at night, so it finally cooled down.
See, I'm not jealous of you. Like Dina probably is. I can deal with like 40s. 40s make Amy happy, and like 60s during the day. Amy's a happy camper. But if you give me like 30 is my high, and then like, I don't know, -20 in the evening, Amy's not very nice. I'm not a nice person when I'm cold. I just know. I can always cool off. I cannot always warm up. And that's my motto. So I'd rather be just content because I already have all my heated blankets because my house is like 60, year round. So I have that, but still, I don't know. I still can't.
I approach that opposite though, because you can always put more stuff on. You can't only take so much off. I mean, how much cooler can you be?
Thank you. Absolutely.
True.
See?
Well, okay. Okay. I'm outnumbered on that one here. I'm really outnumbered.
That are cotton, that breathe. Everything is polyester. So everything just traps heat. And
yeah.
I live in Texas. No, I don't. Man, if I could just run around in very little clothing, I would be happy.
Well, no, not me. I'm okay. I'm content and just all of my I'm content and all of my stuff. But Bjorn, you have 3 books in your background currently. So tell everyone a little bit about your books, what genre you write in, and your inspiration behind the novels that we see behind you.
Absolutely. The genre is a little fuzzy, but we're going to go with historical fiction fantasy. There's some debate about that. It spills over to several things, but it's starts in the Viking Age, Norse exploration age with protagonist Mariel, and she finds out she's, number one, very different than all the other female Norse that she grew up with in the 800s. Becomes a awesome warrior, has a supernatural destiny that she has to figure out and accomplish in her lifetime, but her lifetime ends up being very long because she ends up in World War II as well, and there's a lot of time travel involved. Looking forward a little bit more past these 3 books, 4 and 5 cover some background characters that had a story of their own to tell, and right now I just got 6 Rune of Spirits back from the editor, which features Josephine Peel, which she shows up briefly in book 1, but now you get to see everything that she has to go through, and she has a very important part to play in all this as well. And this is up Amy's alley because a lot of this is historical crime drama. She's not particularly a very wholesome character, but she does have a very important part to play, and that's book 6 and 7. So I went kind of wild with these, so I think a lot of people find these interesting. They're a little bit different than the rest, but they all weave together into one story. So that's kind of the nutshell.
Different is good. Different is good because you don't want the same thing, unless you're Dina, who loves to read J.D. Robb and who has like 60 books. 60 books. And that's the whole funny thing. So when Dina was talking about her book that she's reading for the holidays, we started reading the series together. And let me just tell you, Bjorn, don't ever do that with Dina. Okay. Because one, Dina has read all of these books, but her latest one that just came out. And so she just skims it. So you're on book 2 and she's on book 13.
Just skim it. I don't just skim
She does.
I
but
skim
she's
over
on
the sections.
So you're on book 2 and you've never read these. So you're reading them really just, diving deep into it. And then, you talk to Dina the next day and she's on 13. And then you're on 3 and she's on 20. So needless to say, just don't do that. Different is good. I have to have a variety in my life. So I read like 4 or 5 books generally at the same time because I just can't do the same thing.
This might shock you, Amy, but when I was in 3rd grade, one of my school subjects, and this is like 100 years ago, right? But one of them was they taught us speed reading as part of our curriculum. So I just speed read. I read like a 400-page book a day.
Okay, but sorry? I don't feel like most people do that. If you do, raise your hand or comment later if you're watching this, because I'm just a terrible reader anyways. I am a slow reader, I'm not gonna lie to you. And when I listen to my audiobooks, I generally get the ebook too and I follow along, which is that's a terrible thing. But I can admit that because hey, I'm still reading and I still read like almost 10 books a week. And I don't know if I complete them, but I do read them a week. So, but I will say, Bjorn, your book is definitely a fantasy historical fiction tied into like Norse mythology, 100%. It is very much that to a T, which is new for me, right? Dabbling into fantasy and stuff is new. So I'm going to ask you a question, Bjorn, and I don't think I have a very favorable answer. So I'm going to let your answer go first because I feel like more people are going to like your answer than mine. Are you a fan of Dune?
I have not read the books, but I've watched the TV show and the original movie, and I did like it.
You did like this? Okay.
You watch the original that's like from the 80s or the one that just came out?
Both. We watched the recent one that I think it's the prequel to the original story that they wrote that was originally written. Yeah, it's the prequel to that, but it's one of those where it's one of those where you really gotta pay attention or you get lost pretty fast. It's not it's not very I don't know, streamlined. I don't know how to express it, but it's you gotta pay attention.
See, I think
or you get lost fast.
My problem.
It's very intricate. I know that now I haven't ever read the book, but after I watched the Game of Thrones, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna read the books. And they're another one where, a couple of times I'd have to go back, 10 or 12 pages and then reread it.
Yeah.
And so, but now I'm just waiting for him to finish out the series.
Everyone is.
I better not wait 20 years. I'll be dead. So.
Well, yeah. Okay. So here's my answer to that, which is not favorable, but it ties into your books, Bjorn, because I have read them and I've almost finished the current ones that are out. And so I am not a big fan of like fantasy in the aspects of like Dune, right? I can get on board with like Star Trek and Star Wars, and I don't really know why, but I can. It's just fascinating to me. I can totally do that. So I generally stay away from fantasy books. So the fact that when you had me sold at like Vikings and like the Norse mythology, I took mythology classes and like Norse, not literature, but like the Norse era of mythology in college because I just love those kinds of things, which just now that I say it out loud, I'm like probably shouldn't tell people that, but I did. I loved it. Absolutely. So that is what intrigued me. And so I will say I am a fan of your kind of fantasy. The Dune aspect and those kinds of things, I just can't wrap my head around it, and I think I love historical fiction too, which I think kind of plays a role into it. But I will say that even if you are not a fantasy lover, these are the books because they have so many very well blended genres into it. So if you're a fan of those other ones, your books, Bjorn, fit perfectly because you did make me a fan of fantasy, your type of fantasy, I will say, and the ones that I like.
would you say it was the characters that overcame the dislike of fantasy in general, or was it just the story was different enough that you liked it?
I think it's the way that you blended all of them together for me, and it wasn't in like a choppy way, because you can read some fantasy books that try to blend in different elements, and there's no connection, transition smoothly between them that you can wrap your head around. Where for me, I could wrap my head around it, and it was a smooth transition where I really wanted to dive deeper into it. So it's one of those things for me. But I love books like that, like Russell's psychological thriller books. I love those kinds of books, kind of where you kind of almost, and Russell, since you kind of almost root for the bad guy in a sense. And in yours, I wanted to dive deeper and see what was going to happen, where the next place was going to be, those kinds of things, which is new for me because I am not a patient person.
Could they actually be considered speculative fiction?
Maybe.
Possibly.
Maybe.
I think it kind of straddles the line. Yeah, it could be.
Because I go and I look it up, and I can't tell you how many times I've heard someone say, "Oh, well, I write speculative fiction," and I'm like, "But what is it? Is it just like an all-encompassing, or is there like actually certain elements?" But I don't know. Personally, I like the Viking stuff. I like the Viking time travel type of things.
I know. I don't know. It's just that those kind of things are just very fascinating for me. But what is your holiday special, your offer for your books? If someone's wanting to dab into that new kind of genre that we're talking about, or if it's a first time for fantasy and you like Vikings, Bjorn's options would be a great fit in for those, or the Viking fantasy lover in your life. So Bjorn, what is your holiday special this holiday season?
I would like to I'm going to put all 3 books 10% off through the end of December, and hope that helps people take the interest in. Yeah.
Well, getting new books and stuff, especially when you're ordering paperback and how things have been, crazy times, grocery expenses, all those things being crazy. I think 10% off is great, because sometimes it's a deciding factor between whether or not you get it, right? And so I think having any kind of incentive like that is a beautiful thing, because they are great books. And when you hold them in person, oh my gosh, I don't know if anybody else is like this, but when you hold a book and it's just a gorgeous book and you hold it in person, like I was talking to Russell about, I like things crisp and clean, no dents, no damage, no nothing. And if it's damaged, I will order another copy. Like, I'm insane like that. But they're just beautiful. Like, if you could just have like a showcase and have lights on them, and it just goes, oh, that is. I know that wasn't.
Well, I know somebody that makes awesome covers that makes books look really, 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 really good.
Oh, yes. She likes pink. She's the pink flamingo lady over here. Dina Wright is the one that did his covers along with.
When can I make you a pink cover?
Well, actually, we need to talk about that, because 6 and 7 are coming out your way pretty soon, and I think they're going to be a challenge for you as far as figuring out a cohesive theme to put on the front. So that'll be a little challenge for you.
Sweet baby Jesus.
She loves challenges. She loves challenges for sure. But oh my goodness, I love it. I need a bookcase, because then I could put yours in there. I could put Russell's in there. Julie's have to go in there, because oh my gosh, when Julie talks and shows her covers, hers are gorgeous too. I could just put all of these like fabulous ones and just like put a big sign that says this is no touching, no touching zone for my kids. But oh yeah, I need the player too that just goes every time the light comes on. I need it to be animated like that. Okay, Bjorn, I like it. Talking to you always gives me ideas, and I really like it. It just drives a lot of things home for me. So before we cut you loose for the evening, because you're on Eastern time, just like Russell, and I always forget how late all that is. So before we cut you loose, what is the holiday movie or show that you're currently watching or have watched this week?
Nothing this week. I was out of town, so we didn't watch very much Christmas.
You got a
anything.
detox. You got a detox from it? Okay. Nice. I love it. Well, you're going to have to go watch Die Hard because that's the only movie Christmas wise that Dina's seen. So you got to watch Die Hard.
Well, it's going to be Christmas Story and Christmas Vacation. I can answer that. That's probably the two that are next.
Oh yeah, you have to do those. Oh my gosh, there are some good different ones on Netflix though. I will tell you, I've made my husband watch some, and they're different. They're different, but they're good. So if you're looking for something different, that's my current go-to. But you got to watch Die Hard, Bjorn. You got to throw Die Hard in there. It's a Christmas one. I'm telling you, you got to throw it in there.
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen it before.
I'm telling you, I grew up on those, and those are fabulous. But Bjorn, thanks for taking time out of your evening to come and hang out and talk to us about your holiday special and everything. So before we let you go, where can people go to take advantage of your holiday special?
I'll just go to Amazon and type in Bjorn Leeson, and they'll all pop up. Or you can go to thalspar.com, THALSPARR.com, and that's kind of the hub where everything about my books is located, and it'll take you right to where you can get them.
Wonderful. I love it. Absolutely. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, Bjorn.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Julie,
have a good one.
You too. Julie, you got to come on down now, Julie. I got to bring her up. Oh, hold on. I put me in lock screen. I've locked my screen. It's like I can't even use my screen or something, you guys. Oh, my goodness. All right. I know. You guys, it's Sunday. Julie, hey, how are you?
Hey, how are y'all?
Oh,
well, let me just start out by saying I'm here in my capacity as an author, but also in my capacity as a publisher. And my amazing thing I found out today, I had heard on NPR a day or two ago that Taylor Swift was releasing her new book, her Eras Tour, which is going to be a mega million bestseller. What I found out today was it's a and for those of us like me who are small traditional publisher, the fact that big celebrities are moving to the self-publishing route is amazing. And it might help break the lock that those 5 big publishing houses have on publishing right now. Let's hope so. So I was thrilled with that news. Not that I'm a Taylor Swift fan. I'm just interested that as a businesswoman, she's figured out that it's better to directly market her book than to go through.
That she gets to keep 100% of the royalties and has 100% of the creative control. Yeah,
that's right. And she doesn't really have to worry about the marketing part, which is the hard part for all the rest.
She's like built-in marketing. You know,
exactly.
It just turns to gold. So.
Well, yeah, she's a walking billboard of herself. So, it makes sense. She just gets up there and promotes it. But no, I feel like I have heard a lot more, of a less of the like stigmatism, I guess, or I don't know, dislike or disapproval of self-publishing has kind of started to go away. You have more and more people that are self-publishing, which, I love that. That's like my happy spot is self-published authors. I feel like honestly the best talent is in self-published, to be completely honest. So no, I love to hear that for her. So Julie, we talked about holiday movies and you put The Grinch, but you put the original Christmas Carol. Is that right?
Right. Christmas Carol, but the original version. There have been, I don't know, several versions. I've watched a couple of the other versions, but for me, the original with Scrooge is played by this English actor named Alastair Sims, I believe, if I'm remembering right. He's the best Scrooge there is. And the whole production is wonderful. I just love that. So that's, if you had to push me and say, what is my all-time favorite, that would be it. But I also love, like you mentioned Holiday Inn. I love that one. I love White Christmas. All those old films with Bing Crosby and Rosemary Clooney and so forth. I just love those old films. So I go and watch I have copies, and I still have a VCR player and CD player. And I watch those old movies at home. In fact, I have a kind of a goal every years to watch one Christmas movie every day, but I never managed to complete it. So just a little interesting to hear. Y'all have been talking a lot about Die Hard. I actually met and worked with Danny Glover for several days. So if you remember, he's the sidekick with Bruce Willis. He's the number 2 policeman on that. So that was fun. a long time ago.
Wow, Julie, look at you. I learn something new every time I talk to you. You're hiding stuff from me, Julie. You're hiding stuff from me. And
Well, one of the reasons I love my previous job was because I got all these opportunities to meet and work with bigwigs in different fields. And he was one. You know, I was in Tel Aviv as the cultural attaché, and we invited him to come and to a film festival to be our American representative at a film festival. He came. So I worked with him for about 3 days while he was in Tel Aviv. It was a lot of fun. And it was great to meet a bigwig movie star.
right? I don't know what I would do if I met a movie star. I don't know why. I don't know because they're just people. So I don't really know how I would. I don't know. It'd be interesting. It probably would be a funny thing for Josh to like record my interaction with a celebrity and then see what happened. If it was Lady Gaga, I would probably faint. I'm not gonna lie to you. I am like a huge Lady Gaga fan. I would probably faint. I probably my sentence to her probably wouldn't make sense. It'd be like Amy, like it would not make sense. I'm telling you right now, and I know that because I've been really close to her and I could not form a sentence. So kudos to you, Julie, for keeping it together because I would not.
I'll tell you, this is probably speaking out of school, but, as a diplomat, everything is quite programmed and scheduled and arranged. And we had all these events set up for him, interviews, a visit to a school to meet with, young people, et cetera, et cetera. And so we were on a time schedule. So he was invited to stay by the ambassador at the ambassador's house. So I went there to pick him up, and it was a reasonable hour. Let's say it was, 9 a.m. He was not even awake at 9 a.m.
Nice.
And he finally got up, and then he kind of shambled out, and then he wanted something for breakfast. And I'm going crazy because I have all these people expecting him. And he's not, he's on a different program than I am, and the embassy is. So it was an interesting experience.
That would be stressful. That would be stressful, to say the least. Well, no.
I've seen some movies. There was a recent one about the guy who was the producer for The Godfather. It was a series. It was really interesting. But I have a lot more empathy for those people because I understand sometimes how difficult it is to manage stars. They have their own agendas, and it's not necessarily your agenda.
It's like wrangling cats.
I was going to say, that sounds like my, 4-year-old diva over here who thinks that she's just, I don't know. She must think that she's Taylor Swift because she's just declared herself the boss. So I can imagine trying to wrangle them up would be very stressful because it's stressful doing that. But, well, Julie, do you read around the holiday times? And if so, do you change your genre? Are you more like me and you don't read? You take the holidays off? What is your holiday go-to when it comes to reading?
No, I read Christmas books, and I have a whole one of those portable things, plastic things, full of Christmas books. Now, a lot of the Christmas books I have are children's books because when my son was little, I would buy a new book every year and read it to him. So, I have everything from Night Before Christmas, The Grinch in written form, something called Pancho's Piñata, just all kinds of children's books that we would read every year. And then I have my own book, and I have a lot of them that are Christmas mysteries, which I really enjoy because it blends the Christmas season with the mystery part. So I do try to read Christmas books at Christmas time. But like right now, I'm not reading. I have 2 new books that were recommended to me by a bookstore here in Houston, Blue Willow Bookshop owner, Valerie Kohler. So she came out with a whole bunch of books and said, you should read these. So I foolishly bought 2 of them right before Christmas. And so I'm reading them both at the same time. And so I have to finish them so I can get to my Christmas books.
Oh, okay. You're pulling an Amy and reading double duty, reading 1 or 2, books, I guess a week. It's for me, I have to do that because it's easier for me because I don't know. I don't know if it's just the older I get or what, but my attention span isn't there. So if there's like a low part in a book, or if the book is like a slow burn, then I'll go to the one that's quicker and been like, okay, I got all my action out. Now I can go back to this one. So I pop around back and forth. But I don't think, to be completely honest, I don't think I've ever read a Christmas book. I mean, I've read like The Night Before Christmas, The Grinch, all of those, but I don't think I've actually read I guess like an adult Christmas book. I don't think I've read that. I mean, I did listen to the J.D. Robb one that took place at Christmas, but I feel like that's it's not Christmas centric. So
You know,
I
I
have
mean,
to
I'll just mention this. I read when I was a teenager. It's more like a novelette than a book, but it was a novel written about Joseph. And, we have all these Christmas characters, but we never really hear or think about Joseph. And I thought, oh, this is an amazing thing because it's, nowadays everybody is taking stories and writing it from a different point of view. So right now we have Wicked, talking about the Wicked Witch of the West. That's her different point of view. But this is the whole Christmas story from Joseph's point of view, or about Joseph. And you think about it, poor guy, he gets the short end of the Christmas stick, if I can say that. He's not the father of his child. He's raising this child. He's kind of pushed into marrying Mary. So anyway, it was great. I love that. And I think about it a lot when I'm thinking about writing, is a different perspective to writing.
I can see that. You'll have to tell me. Do you remember the title? Is the title of it just Joseph, or what's the title of it?
I don't even know. I'd have to go find the book and look at, because it's like I said, a novelette. It's part of the whole book of anthology of good Christmas reading.
Oh,
basically.
okay. I'll go and do that. I'll just go and look at Christmas anthologies and see, because quick reads every day kind of tend to be my thing here recently. So I'll have to go and do that. But Julie, I know you as a publisher, you have a lot of books and you have written a lot of books. So talk to us about your books that you've written and your holiday special that you have.
Could I do a screen share? So you said go to present.
Absolutely. Go to present, and then you will see it. You'll click the window that you want, and then at the bottom hit share.
Window. Okay, and then share. All right. So one thing that's not a book, but it's something I want to show everyone at Christmas time. Can y'all see my slide?
No, we just see your MSN.com. So you have to click on the window that you want to share. When you hit present, so you'll hit present and then share screen, and then you'll click on the tab or the window that you want, and then hit share.
Do you see it now?
Yep, let me share it. Got you.
Okay, so this is a little bit different, but it's Christmas. So I, as a publisher, sell these 12 ornaments, and they're really great for a Christmas tree. And I let you guess. Let's see how good you are, Dina and Amy. Who's this first guy here? Well, first top left.
Shakespeare.
Yep, you got it. How about the second one?
Probably who wrote Pride and Prejudice?
Jane Austen. That's right.
Is that who it is? Oh, okay.
One? Okay, well, this is
Hamilton.
This is Charles Dickens. So these are my three authors: Shakespeare, Austen, and Dickens. And then I have some characters. So anybody, you have a guess on who this one is?
Is it Alice in Wonderland?
Well, we're getting to her, but who's the one with the spear? Okay, that's Don Quixote. Did you know that Don Quixote is the largest selling novel of all time ever over the centuries? Anyway, this is Don Quixote. And then we have, you guessed this one, Alice in Wonderland. How about this one? You know this one. Same book.
Queen of Hearts.
Yes, the Queen of Hearts. And then how about this one?
Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
Right. So those are my 6 literary ornaments, and these are related. This one is the scallop shell is related to my book on the Camino, and so is the knight. In fact, both knights are related to my book on the Camino, and the horse also. And then I have a Viking. And Amy knows this. I went to Comic-Cons, Comic Palooza here in Houston, and comic conro for a couple of years. And so I ended up taking I thought, well, they're not buying my literary figures. Maybe they'll buy a Viking. So I bought these Vikings to sell, but I can't say they sold well. Anyway, these are great for someone who's like, if you have an Austen fan who's a friend, or someone who loves Alice in Wonderland or Sherlock Holmes. These are great. I sell them on my website. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. And now I would like to show you something different, which is books. I'm going to start with my new book.
You have
Amy,
to
can you do
reshare
this?
it, Julie.
I have to reshare it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Share. Stop sharing that one and then share again. Present. Share screen. Share screen. No. Okay, share. You should be able to see it. Yeah. Okay, this is my new book. I didn't write it, I published it, but I'm really excited about this book. It's called The 9 Lives of Tito de Emilia. The author is a guy named Ettore Ferrettini Poggiani. He's Italian. This book has won 6 awards in Italian. And through a friend, he got to me and I published it in English. It was quite an experience. First time I published a translated work. But the book is historical fiction, and the cat is not the principal character, but the cat is a vehicle that the story is told through. So the cat has 9 lives over like 32 centuries. And he follows this family, the Ferrettini family, and a town, the town of Emilia. So the cat's first name is Tito of Emilia, and his 9 lives. So every time he's reincarnated, he comes back to life, he always is there to help the family and the town. And it's such an imaginative and well-written book. It's amazing. So I'm really thrilled to have been asked to publish this book for this author. And back to publishing, he's, like I said, he's won all these awards in Italy, but finding an American publisher, particularly for a book like this, it blends history and fiction. So all the history of his family and the town is real. He's got the documents. But the fantasy part is that the cat comes back 9 times and has 9 different lives over the centuries. And it's got, so each chapter is a different century, and it's very varied. So you have a couple of chapters that involve romance, a couple of chapters that involve wars, other things happening. One is on building a wall, so it's about architecture and so forth. So they're all different, they're all varied, but they have this common theme of the cat, the family, and the town. And the last chapter is a twist, which no one really expects, even though there's a hint early on, but no one is ready for the twist. It's got really, really good reviews from bloggers and from the Midwest Book Review, so I'm happy about that. And he was here in October, and I had events with him here in Houston, and he's an amazing guy. So anyway, that's my new book, and my book as in publisher book, and I'm really thrilled about that. And then let me stop sharing and just talk about my other 3 books that I'm selling. Are books that I've been around for a while. The most recent before this book is called Whiskers Abroad by Houston author Carrie Carter. And it again has a cat as a central character, but believe me, I'm not a cat publisher. It just so happens for whatever reason, people keep sending cats in them. I'd be happy to publish a dog book or a horse book or anything. But anyway, I have 2 cat books. So the premise of that book is that the cat goes to Japan with a writer, her own writer, and then the story is told from 2 perspectives. The writer tells you what happens during it every day, and then the cat tells you what really happens. And for me, it's hilariously funny, but again, it's both fictional, because of course the cat can't write, but also true, because all the information about Japan is correct and accurate. And I read it and I thought, okay, now I know if I go to Japan, besides the airport where I've been, but outside of Japan, I know what I want to do from days 1 to 8. She gives you kind of a map of what you could try to do. So I love that. And then the other 2 books that I published and I sell are my own books. So, of course, I love those. And one is about the Camino de Santiago in Spain. Well, and of course, it's a more than 1,000-year-old pilgrimage. Back to movies, if you've seen the movie The Way, it's about the Camino de Santiago. And the other book is my book about international adoption. So that's my lineup, is what I sell as a publisher, and the 2 books I've written as an author. Totally, I know I would do better if I wrote a genre book, like a mystery or a thriller or whatever. But I'm interested in hybrid books that are part fiction, part history, part true, part not true, not predictable, put it that way.
Yeah. See, and I can appreciate those things, because I know your Camino de Santiago book, you walked that whole, you did that whole thing, but then you also went back and you did it on horseback. Is that right? Because you have another one that's going to come out at some point. Some point you're going to get to it where you actually did it on horseback as well. Is that
Correct.
That's right?
That's right. I'm going to write that. I've been saying that for 2 years now, but I'm going to write it.
Yeah.
Things coming in the way. Like I had in January of this year, I had no idea that I was going to publish this book from this Italian author.
Right.
And in an amazingly short period of time, from February to October, we got the book translated. It was translated already, but it had to be heavily edited and published and out. So that was it was very intense, just looking at that book and nothing. I had time for nothing else.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you, life and just everything recently, sometimes just gets in the way. And I think as a writer, being able to adapt and do that, and like you said, you didn't plan on publishing this book, and you did, so you still are getting out there and getting your name out there and everything like that. So tell us about your holiday specials and promotions that you're running this holiday season and where people can find them.
I'm going to offer 20% off on everything, books and also my ornaments, my holiday Christmas tree ornaments. To get to the discount, I suggest you email me at the address that should be on the screen, publishing@bayoucitypress.com, and I will make sure you get your discount. So all of them are different prices and so forth, but I'll give 20% off of anything you order. I
love it. And see, Julie, every time that we do this, you're always so festive. You got red lipstick and your lights on, and I love it. My girls picked a darker red today.
Can't see, but I've got today was blue day, basically. So I have blue earrings, my blue necklace, my headband, which is flashing. I know you can't really see it's flashing, but it is.
I can see it. When I look at the blue, I can see it. I can see it flashing. We're losing Dina. Dina's going to watch Yellowstone, so she's over me. So we've lost Dina. Goodbye, Dina. We'll see you tomorrow.
I like Yellowstone too. I'm going to have to go and watch it later.
Oh, I know. But Julie, thanks for taking time out of your evening to come and hang out and talk to us about everything that you have this holiday season, from your ornaments to the books that you've published to your own books, and where they can go and find them. So thanks for taking time out of your evening to come and hang out and celebrate with us.
I want to thank you again, Amy. You've been doing this every year now for, I don't know how many years, 4 years, 5 years. It's a wonderful opportunity for authors that you invite us and give us this platform to talk about our products, our books. Thank you.
No, anytime, Julie. I'm glad that you could make it. I'm glad we could do it this year. It's been a fun, chaotic learning year, and so I'm glad that we could still do it, even if it's a condensed version of it. So I'm glad that you could take advantage of it every year.
Well, when you did it for 12 straight days, it was a marathon. I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you kept up with it. I mean, it was just talk about an intense schedule. That was intense.
It was a lot of fun and a lot of stress at 7:00 every night, but pulled it off. We made it fun. And so this year's more relaxed, more laid back. And so it makes it a little less chaotic and hectic. Because, the December, I feel like, crept up on all of us, and it's chaotic enough with the holidays. So we're just going to make it fun and relax. And if you can come, great. If not, we'll probably still talk about your books, So I'm glad that you could be on, and, hopefully we get to see you again tomorrow.
I'm planning it, but, things happen.
Absolutely. All right, let's bring Kim on. Kim, hi. How are you?
I'm doing super. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm learning a lot. I've learned a lot about, holiday movies and everything. And, my best friend ditched me for Yellowstone. So it's been a really fun and eventful night. So since we're kicking off the whole, talking and introduction and everything of what your favorite holiday movie is. So Kim, what would be yours?
I don't like pick one and watch it. There are certain, like the Home Alone movies. I do get a kick out of watching those. They still make me laugh all these years later. So I get a kick out of that. And the Santa Claus movies. With the Tim the Toolman Taylor. I can't remember
Tim Allen.
Tim Allen.
Yeah.
The Santa Claus movies. I really enjoy those. And I do typically end up watching one of those. Like if I'm flicking through Netflix or Prime or something, I see it, I'll watch it. I enjoy those ones.
Oh, okay. All right. I love that. So the first Santa Claus with Tim Allen is probably my ultimate favorite one with Bernard. It's my favorite. But the Home Alones, oh my gosh. The first two are my absolute favorite. 3 and on,
hilarious.
I know 3 and on is kind of like hit or miss. But my favorite one is when they have, I can't remember the robber's name, but they have a brick and they're like, "Suck brick, kid," and they throw the brick. You just can't help but laugh at that. Like you just can't. And then like when he's at the washing machine, oh my gosh, I have done that. So my washing machine's not quite like that one, but I have done that because my husband hasn't seen these movies. Okay. He was deprived of movies. So we're having to watch them now. And I'm of course showing them to my kids. So when he's at the washing machine, he's just like, just losing it. I've totally done that. And I'm just like, I die laughing. And I'm like, name this movie. And he doesn't he finds zero humor in it. But to me, I'm just, when you're laughing so hard, you can't breathe and your back hurts. And you're just like, I need air, but this is classic.
Yeah.
That is a Home Alone movie for me. Those are good. Yeah. I'm going to have to watch
just
one
the kind that just, the sense of humor is so off the wall.
It's great.
That dry, weird sense of humor is what will have me falling off the couch laughing.
That's just great. And then he puts on, what movie does he put on? Is it The Godfather where he's all like, he counts to 3 and then the guns start going off? Oh man, I wish I was that smart of a kid at his age.
I remember when I first saw that movie thinking, wow, that's the same thing. Man, I wish, wouldn't that be cool to actually set something like that up? And then your brain just gets going. You're like, I could do this and I could do that.
I know, right? I'm like, I don't know if that's scary or a good thing.
I know.
I don't know. I don't know which way to go there. But to me, it's a wonderful thing. And I wish my mind, went in that direction for sure. So when it comes to reading, we've had several different variety of it. I so far, I guess, am one of those that just stops reading. I don't know why I do that, but I do. So what is your reading like in the holidays? Does it pick up? Do you focus on holiday books? Do you switch genres? Do you just continue like it's not really the holidays in terms of reading?
I typically continue like it's not the holidays. I read probably 3 books a week. And I read after dinner because I don't watch a whole lot of TV. So I read or crochet or something like that in the evening, especially now that it's so dark so early.
Yes. Yeah. That's throwing me off. It's dark at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, and it's really throwing me off because then you get tired and I'm like, oh man, I'm like late to make dinner and you're not.
Yeah. By 7 p.m. I'm going, it's only 7. It feels like it's 10.
Yeah. I'm going to bed, Yeah. I wish.
But there are a couple of books by Richard Paul Evans. He's one of my favorite authors and he wrote The Christmas Box and The Timepiece.
Okay.
And those are really emotional books, but related around Christmas. And I really do enjoy those. And those, I was looking in because I don't know if everybody, readers, authors, both, I always have stacks of books. And I have a stack of his books, Richard Paul Evans. He's just to me, one of my favorite authors. And he has so much emotion that comes through his writing. And I'm always, whenever I finish one of his books, I'm just like, wow. And then I'm like, wow, I wish I could write like that.
Yeah.
One of those authors. And where you cry, you laugh. I mean, without fail, I've never not cried when I read one of his books.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He's just really, for me personally, he's one of my all-time favorite authors. Yeah. The Christmas Box. And I can't remember if that was actually maybe made into a movie or not. I'm not sure, but it's really good. It's a really good book.
I'll have to check that out. I'm not a huge fan of crying, in books. I have done it. I have done it. And Dina's not on it. She's not listening, so I can totally do this. So Dina has written a book. She wrote a book 8 years ago. Okay. Never let anybody see it. And she told me about it. So I read it. Right. And I guess she warned me, because I don't like books that leave off on cliffhangers. They make me really mad. And I don't know. I'm a weird reader. I guess it makes me really mad. Unless the next book's out, then I'm okay. Then I'm calm. I'm cool. I'm collected. Well, she hasn't written her next book. And it is the only book, and I can say this, I've read a lot of books. Her book is the only book I stayed up all night reading, and I finished it. Right. And I got to the end and I literally started crying because it was a cliffhanger. And I was so pissed because there's not another book. And I started crying, and I have been on her ever since then. But that's the only book that has made me cry. I tend to steer away from, I guess, like emotionally heavy topics. And I don't really have like a good reason why I do that, but I'm just not a big crier,
Yeah.
I cry a lot more now that I've had kids. I don't know. I guess my super sensitive emotional bone has gone off, and I'm just become this huge cry bag, like anything
It's like an empathy button is pushed once you have kids.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
It's crazy. Like I took them to see this kid movie. I don't know, the wild one, the robot movie. It's this robot movie.
Even the previews were making me cry. I don't even want to watch it.
Okay. So that was my problem. I didn't watch the previews. My kids, Josh had showed them, and he was going to take them, and he didn't take them. So I wound up being the parent that took them.
So you were
And
surprised.
girl, I went into those, and it's definitely a movie for moms. And I was crying, and I went with another mom friend and her kid, and she was crying. I was like, oh my gosh, I've turned into one of those, we just cry at the drop of a hat, and your mascara is running down your face, and your kids are like, what's wrong? And you're just like, oh, you've just, no. So maybe that is why I feel like I'm traumatized. And so that's why I don't read those kinds. But like the happy books, that like make you cry because it's happy and stuff, I'm always down for it. But I've never heard of him, so I'll have to check him out.
Writes about more like families, and it goes through the different generations, and it's always surrounded by like an item, like a timepiece or a book or a letter, and it goes back in time and then back to present. And it's just there's a lot of emotion in there, and lives, life that happens, good, bad, ugly, sad. It just I don't know. He is one of my all-time favorite authors, and I will turn to his books. I pull those 2 books out. I do pull them out once a year. I do that with a lot of my favorite books.
Nice.
I'll pull them out once a year and reread them.
Yeah. I think that's like every author's ultimate goal, is to get to that point where you have readers like that have to read your book every year. Right? I feel like that's everybody's goal.
That would be, and like Russell was saying earlier, to have a well-worn book.
Yeah. Yeah.
To see someone reading your book and the pages are well-worn. I mean, that is the highest compliment, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that. Probably not someone like me that's like OCD and has to have them pristine and they look like they've never been touched. But you're like, I swear they have. I'm just delicate.
I look at them as they're well-loved.
Yes. I had someone else say that to me too. And they're like, when you go to a used bookstore or something and you see the books and they were just like really worn, she goes for those because it means it's a good book that was really loved and read a whole lot. So I could see it that way, like I could see that, and I could probably get on the bandwagon, but then my OCD would kick in. I've been like, the pages are bent. I can't close the book and it looks immaculate. Like I just know it would fail. It would fail terribly for me. But I could see that as being like a really good.
With my favorite authors, like with Richard Paul Evans, with his books, and they're hard. I got the hardback version with the dust covers on.
Yeah. Okay.
Those ones are kept pristine.
You don't read those. You read the paperback.
I bought the paperback ones. I know that was me. Bought two sets of the same book, but the hardback with the dust covers and stuff, those stay on a shelf. Like, like you were saying earlier,
We all need that button. We all need to like have a light on our
And
bookshelf
it makes that sound. The angels are singing.
When you turn the light on, which is probably going to be on at night, right? So it glows.
Yes.
And when you turn it on, it just goes,
and then all of the characters come to life magically, because that's what happens,
Yes, I'm telling you. That's definitely, you go like the Indian in the Cupboard movie, Does anyone seen that movie? I remember that when I was younger. And I don't know why, like my bookshelf doesn't have glass, but we can just pretend. Okay, we're going to use our imagination. But I totally believe that like if I had figurines and stuff like that on my bookshelf, they're going to come to life, just like Toy Story.
Yes. When Toy Story came out, I went, that's my head, my whole growing up head, that movie, Toy Story. Yeah. All of my toys and things, I just knew that they came to life, and I always missed out on it.
I'm telling you, or you would want to stay up all night so you could see them come to life, and then you just magically dozed off, and you're just like, oh darn it, I did it again,
Yes.
I can tell you
that when I was like, I think 13.
Man, I'm telling you, though I love a Toy Story, the movie, but I feel like the older I've gotten, because my girls have gotten into it and we watch it, I just have really big issues with Sid, the kid next door. I'm like, he really just has some issues for me. And I'm like, I can't get past that, because I'm like, I don't know, if there was a kid next door to me that was blowing up toys, I don't know. I don't know how I would feel. Like, I don't know. I guess I go too adult on it. And I'm like, Amy, it's just a kid's movie. It's about toys. It's like this whole thing. I don't know. I
hear you on that one. I hear you on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. The more that I talk to you guys, the more I feel like I sound crazy, because I give myself all these pep talks and stuff. And I'm just like, well, I'm amongst friends. It's okay. You guys can think I'm crazy, and it's okay. You
don't sound crazy to me.
Oh, okay, even better. So you guys are all my people, because if I don't sound crazy to any of y'all are like me, and I love it. Works out. It works out. Well, Kim, I know you do a lot for authors, for veterans, and you publish a lot in that arena. So talk to us about all of the goodness that you have and your nuggets that you have, and what your holiday promotion is this holiday season.
Well, my newest book, Nuggets. Nice segue there, Amy.
I'm good sometimes.
Is Nuggets of Hope. And it's just a little book. It's 5 by 8. It's only like 85 pages long, but it's Nuggets of Hope. And it shares my journey of actually handing out, and I'll show you, handing out actual nuggets of hope over the last couple of years. And it shares those interactions with people. And I started doing that a couple years ago, because I felt very strongly internally nudged to do so, and to give hope to people. And I'll be out and about doing my thing, running errands or whatever. And if I feel urged towards someone, if I notice someone and it's just all of a sudden that person needs a nugget of hope today, and I just approach them, and hold out my hand and say, excuse me, sir, excuse me, ma'am, I would like to give you a nugget of hope today. And without fail, every person has held their hand out and accepted my little nugget of hope. And I'm a total stranger, but they still accept it. And I've had laughter, I've had tears, I've had people hug me. I had an older gentleman yell and swear at me in anger. And every interaction was exactly how it was meant to be. And I was in front of the exact person I feel that I was supposed to be in front of. And several times I would get in my car, done doing my errands, get in my car, and I would just put my forehead on my steering wheel and just cry. I don't stay in chit chat. I don't ask the people's names. I don't learn anything about them. I firmly believe I'm just supposed to give that nugget of hope. And then I just say, I wish you a blessed day. And I turn and walk away. One lady, the very first lady, it was an older lady, and it was in the parking lot of Walmart. And she was the very first person that I gave this nugget to. And I just said, I wish you a blessed day. And I turned to walk away. And as I was walking away, I heard her say, oh my goodness, you have no idea. Thank you so much. You have no idea. And she was right. I don't have any idea. And I don't think I'm meant to, but they are going to receive that. And it'll be a little reminder to them that, it's worth sticking around. Life is worth sticking around. Their here for a reason. Life might really, really be hard, but you can always find hope somewhere. You can, even in the darkest of times, you can. I've been there. And I work, like you mentioned, I've for 25 plus years, I'm a huge advocate for veterans, especially those with PTSD. And I'm a veteran myself who lives with PTSD. So I know what it feels like to sit there in that dark spot. And I also know what it feels like to have someone reach their hand out and say, hey, Kim, look up, the light's up here. So for whatever reason, the nuggets of hope idea came to me. I decided to share those stories in a book and just called it Nuggets of Hope, Cultivate Kindness, and just, spread that stuff like confetti, because the world needs it. The world needs more of it. So,
yeah. Well, I think especially around, I believe, the holidays, because the holidays are stressful times for everyone and they're happy times for most, but they can be very dark and sad times for others. And, giving someone that hope, like you said, that you may not have even known if they need it, or they may not respond to the way that you want them to, and you lay your head on your steering wheel and cry. We have all been there. I tend to go to my closet, which I don't really know why. I go to my closet and have to stare at clothes, because then, you find clothes on the floor and you have to wash them, and laundry is not my strong suit. So I don't know why I surround myself with what is dreadful for me. I haven't figured that out yet. But with the holidays, I feel like your book is one that you can definitely give to people that maybe they've lost someone, or they're just really struggling, or, holidays are just hard in general. And, there's a lot of different factors and stuff recently that have played into just the holidays being very financially stressful for a lot of us at this time. And so, I think a book like yours is one that definitely most people need. So it came at a great time. And what a great idea, just to give them little nuggets of hope and to have the courage to go up and talk to someone. Because, oh my gosh, I don't know. I'm not the most friendliest person. If I don't know you and you kind of randomly come up to me and I don't know what you're going to say, the look on my face is not the most warm and inviting. So I'm just going to give you a kudos to you, because I don't know if I would be able to do that.
Well,
So
it is kind of nerve-wracking, and I do get a little nervous, but then I was just like, I think I'm supposed to keep on. I've been doing it for 2 years now. It's like, I think I'm supposed to keep on doing this. So I just take a deep breath and go. But every time I do get nervous, like my chest gets a little tight, and I'll be like, oh, okay. Oh, all right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, go.
Yeah. It's like, there's no back seats. There's no back seats. See, I break out in like hives. Like my chest will be like all red and like in hives, it's like the craziest thing. Like I don't know. I feel like all of us had to take a speech class in college, and I don't know. I'm not good about getting up and talking in front of just strangers. I'm doing good to talk about, to talk to Josh and be like my complete self. I'm doing really good, right? I had to wear like a scarf to class because I would break out in hives and you could see it. So I don't know. So that is a kudos. I'm going to give you your own nugget of hope that you could go and do that, because I could not do that. So kudos to you. And, you have your book, but you've done a lot of other things too, Kim. What else have you done?
I did want to let folks know, but this book is currently on sale actually, it's been on sale for a couple weeks now, but through tomorrow, the end of Cyber Monday, for $6. So it's more than half off. So if folks want to get their little paperback copy of Nuggets of Hope on Amazon, that's for $6. I
love it.
By Tuesday morning, it's going to go back to normal price, because it has been on discount for a couple of weeks. But snag your copy while you can, folks, for $6. Where are you going to get a book for $6?
I don't know.
Really. And my other most recent book, I'm knocking my microphone off. My other most recent book is all about pets. And who doesn't love their pets? And it's Paw Prints on the Kitchen Floor. And that one came out in August. So I actually published 2 books this year, which was a lot.
Look at you.
It was a lot of work. And this is an anthology. So this has about, I think, 18 co-authors, and myself, and my dog writes his own story in there. His name is Dexter. And so he writes the introduction or the foreword in that book. So he talks about from his perspective. And it's just, they're all about pets and how they enrich our lives, and, how they enrich our lives and how important they are in our lives, and what they've done to make us better human beings, and how they can teach us things as long as we pay attention.
Oh yeah.
So Paw Prints on the Kitchen Floor.
I love it. I feel like animals are a key point in everybody's life. I feel like at some point, someone has owned some kind of animal. Maybe it wasn't yours, like it didn't sleep in your house, but at some point you did, and they made an impact on you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And that one is on sale for $7 through tomorrow, through midnight tomorrow, Cyber Monday. So
nice.
yeah.
I love it. I love it. You're hitting us with good deals over here. $6 and $7.
Can't beat it, man.
Sometimes you can't even get ebooks for those, you know? I love it.
I know.
It's crazy.
But you know, and like you were saying, there's so many people that are struggling right now in various ways. And I'm thinking these books, they're all about hope and goodness and kindness. And I'm like, you know, I don't need to make any money on that. If people, you know, let people get out there and get them for the holiday, gift them to places, you know, because I've had people message me and say, I bought 4 or 5 copies and they're leaving them in doctor's offices or wherever just for other people to pick up. Yeah. And I'm like, it's so cool. You know, so I'm like, I want to make that affordable for people to do.
Yeah. See, I love that. Because I feel like when you write a book, especially one with your kind of topic and your genre, it's really meant to be shared, you know, amongst those that may need it. And those that may need it may not financially be able to get it. Yeah.
You don't know what's going on behind someone's smile every day.
That is genius. Yes.
Yeah.
I love
you just
that.
Don't know. Yeah.
No, it's true. But I know everybody that's waiting here, we're all like fun, happy-go-lucky people. You guys have all written books. You guys are all dying to talk about them. So we're happy-go-lucky over here.
That is right, man.
Yeah, it is.
I sit here with my little minion friends.
My kids are running around acting like fools in the background. So if you guys can't hear them, I'm grateful. If you can, I'm deeply sorry.
And that's okay.
That's what's happening behind my door. I'm telling you. But Kim, man, it's always such a delight to get to hang out with you and to talk to you and hear about your holiday specials and just all the great things that you are doing. So thanks for taking time out of your evening to come and hang out and talk to us about your holiday specials.
Well, thank you. And hey, real quick, I just want to let folks know if they want to find out more about the books and such, they can go to my website at kimlanglingauthor.com and you can find out all the books there. You can buy them through there and all kinds of stuff. So kimlanglingauthor.com.
I love it. I love it. Well, Kim, it's always so much fun. I love it. Thanks
I love doing this every year with you. It's a blast. So thank you.
It's fun. All right. Coming up. Hopefully I pronounce your name right, but I'm going to say Stacia. If not, please correct it. Because if that's not, I've been sitting here struggling with it. So if not, please tell me how to pronounce your name because names are important and I want to make sure I get it right.
No, Stacia is correct. I appreciate that. My major professor, I went to University of Miami for a PhD program, and my major professor called me Stacia the entire 5 years, and I liked it also. So I never corrected him, and I had an alternate name as far as he was concerned. But Stacia is what my family calls me.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I was doing it because if you haven't noticed, my last name is very challenging for most people to say, and so I'm generally just like, just call me Amy. You know, it's okay. You don't even try. Just call me Amy. But I am a big stickler. You know, especially when it comes to first names, I want to make sure that I get it right because it is your name. So I'm glad and I'm very grateful that you could join us this evening. So, you know, we've been talking about Christmas movies and everything like that. So do you have a favorite Christmas movie that you watch every year or that you enjoy? And if so, what is that?
I've seen it for many, many years, but I will not watch it this year. I doubt that I will watch any movie this year, but It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's just a classic, and I think it's a beautiful movie.
That one is a really good one. I could sit down. If that's on, I will stop what I'm doing and watch it. Because I feel like the meaning behind that movie for that time was there's a reason they haven't remade that movie. Like it is just truly a classic. And the meaning behind it is such a beautiful meaning that I love it. It's a good one. No one's mentioned that one. Oh, okay. I forget about those, but man, that's a good one. I'm going to have to watch that one. Definitely tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to watch it. Okay. For sure. Yeah. So what does your holiday reading look like? Do you read for the holidays? Do you take off? If so, do you focus on certain genres? What does that look like for you?
I just continue the reading pattern that we have. I'm dyslexic, so talk about reading slowly. My husband figured out that I was reading so slowly that he would rather read to me. So we have evening readings in which he reads to me from a chapter book, we call it. And then we each are reading books in parallel with that. But it's an evening thing that we do together, and I love it.
I love that.
War and Peace and the Remembrance of Things Past, long books. And he eventually we get through them, and it's a pleasure to share them.
I love that. I wish, I'm going to sit here and tell you that I would wish to think that my husband would do that for me, but we like very different books. So I don't think that my husband would do that for me. So kudos to you, because I think that is amazing. And it's a good way for you guys to spend time together, and you're reading long books and stuff, which is very fascinating. So kudos to you for having the patience, because I don't always have the patience for really long books. Sometimes it can be a struggle for me. So I love to hear that. And that's just so special, especially around the holiday time. So I love that. So tell everybody what genre you write in and how people can find you, and tell us a little bit about your book.
I write historical fiction, and it's not ancient history, it's the history I grew up with. So it's historical only because I'm so old, but not because it's a different kind of genre from any other fiction. I simply can people it with the characters and the time and place that I remember. And there's a relaxation in that, in that you can know about the place and the time and simply focus on the people and what's happening. And so I love that as a way to write. And I'll show you, we're talking about dogs and pets in general. You see the dog. I can't get it in, but there's a standard poodle who's a major character in both of these books. So she is there again. And the stories are about the 1950s, which was a very distant time for many people. And people tend to think, oh, things were so great in the 1950s. Everybody was living in suburbia. The family unit was intact, and people were happy, and they had everything they wanted, a car, a radio, a TV, and they could go and look at the movies at the drive-in theater. And it was a period in which a lot of things were great if you were white, and it was not at all a good period for people who were Black in this country. A lot of Jim Crow practices suppressed people pretty ferociously. And this is before the civil rights began to have an effect on people's lives. And so things were kind of suppressed, repressed. And I have the main character, a 12-year-old girl, has a traumatic experience. Her family is wiped out in a car accident, and she runs away with her dog. And she tries to make it on her own. And meanwhile, the people in her rural town in Tennessee decide it must be some of the Blacks that are responsible for kidnapping her. And so they incarcerate one poor guy, perfectly innocent, of course. But she has to go back into the town and deal with the crisis that she created in other people's lives by running away. And she has relatives who come and sort of rescue her and take her off to Portland, Oregon. And there she has the experience of going to school in an integrated school and has a Black friend. And so she has the experience of friendship with someone that she could never have met if that person had lived in her own town, because the separation was so extreme. She goes back to Tennessee and she sees Jim Crow with eyes wide open. And she says to the town people, she says, this is not right. So she is fighting against the times that she lives with, and she makes some progress in her own town with that kind of attitude. So it's a definitely a dog-centric story, but it focuses on a period of time that I think people need to know more about, because there's been a tendency to want to go back to the good old days, and we haven't got the good old days in the 1950s that people think were there. It certainly was not great for most people, and I think that people need to be aware of that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's good to, because you do hear that, go back to the good old days, and you only hear probably the positive things, if we can even call them positive things, that did come out of the 1950s and 60s and 70s and everything kind of like that. So I think telling it the historical fiction aspect of the way that you're telling it, but things that, from a time period that you lived and you've experienced, I think is genius. And I'm a sucker for a book with a dog, as long as the dog... As long as the dog's not going to die, which in most psychological thrillers, and the psychological thrillers, they like to kill animals, and it really drives me bonkers. But I'm a sucker. If there is a dog companion, I'm a sucker for that, because it's, I have 2 dogs, and I would say I had one dog that was just very near and dear to my heart. And if I was a writer, I'm not as creative as all of you guys. I probably would write a book, and he would be my best friend in the book, you know? So I'm a sucker for a story that has a dog and kind of can tie in those things. And I love historical fiction. Like when, we were talking to Bjorn, historical fiction is a love of mine. To kind of dive into history is a love of mine. And, I feel like I don't know the best way to word it, but I feel like every time period has its ups and downs, and it's good and it's bad. We don't hear a whole lot about the bad, and
that's right.
And all aspects of it, and it's history for a reason. And hopefully we've learned from it and done those things, but you have to educate yourself and know the good and the bad in order to move forward and make the future better. Right.
Yep,
And so
yep, you're absolutely right. We've got to educate ourselves.
Oh yeah. But and a fun way of doing it, right? Historical fiction can make it a fun way of doing
it's entertaining.
Yeah, who doesn't love to be entertained? It's kind of one of those things. What is it, like that latest movie that's out? I don't go to the movies very often, but like Gladiator, it shines light on the time period when gladiators were, glorified and all this time. And then if you want to dive further into it, you can, but it's in an entertaining arena, right? But I don't, I think that's interesting because I don't hear. You might know, I don't personally know, of a lot of books that focus in the time period of the 1950s. I've read a lot that take place in the 20s. Yeah, I know. I've read some that take place in the 20s and take place, of course, in the 70s and the 80s, right? But I don't think I've ever encountered one that takes place and talks about the 50s. And I do feel like that was, an important time period. And I don't feel like there's a whole lot of movies made about the 1950s either, to be honest. So look at you. You're just paving the way. Now we're all going to be talking about the 1950s, the good, the bad, the ugly,
Yep, that's right.
I love it. So you have 2 books out. So are they like
it's a sequel
series? Okay. Yeah. So, or is there more to come from that, or what is your
I'm
process?
I'm working on the 3rd book, and it will be with a 5-year hiatus, following these same characters, and the black girl and the white girl are traveling together, Greyhound bus, and but they're going to get down into Tennessee at a time when the civil rights is really warming up in the 1960s, and things are going to happen, and it's a challenge, because it's a time when a lot of things were changing in this country. And I think that we made a lot of progress, but I'm afraid that we're sliding back and going back into some of the old patterns that were damaging. The segregation, the so-called Christian schools that are putting it into public schools, I think are a problem and going to cause trouble. So I'm concerned that people need to learn about history and decide what what they want to preserve and what they want to avoid.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just diving into history in and of itself, at least for me personally, is always a lot of fun. And my history professor in college is the one that did that because he literally told them like they were stories, and I think that's what made me really enjoy them. And so you said that you wrote it. It's historical fiction, but it's the time period in which that you lived, right? So how is your, and I'm only asking you this because I'm super curious because again, the 1950s you don't hear a lot about, and then the way that you're writing the historical fiction we don't really hear a whole lot about. And so I'm curious to ask you, how long did it take for you to write each book, since you were pulling on kind of those memories that you had during that time and fictionalizing the story and those kinds of things. So how long did it take you to write your book?
I think I began writing about 10 years ago. And so it took a long time, but a lot of that time was spent with trying to submit to editors, to try to get agents. I wasted an awful lot of time with trying to get the books published in the traditional way. And I finally went to an indie publisher.
Well,
and
good for you.
I'm so glad I did.
Good for you. You're going to hear no complaints from me at all. I love that.
I went down the pathway that I thought was the only pathway. And it took me a long while to find out just how to do things. But I'm glad I'm finally there.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to have these books out.
Oh, good. You finally made that curve. It's a steep learning curve, but once you make that bend, it's smooth sailing. So I love to hear that. I hear all the time a lot of people talk about how, they have to have an agent. They spend years looking for an agent, and then they're just like, oh, I'm going to, publish it, or they pick the wrong publisher, or they don't want to do it themselves. And, so I love to hear, you took that jump, learned the curve, made the bend. Now it's smooth sailing. And I love to hear that because your books cut out the way you wanted them to get out. And I think that's important. So I love to hear that. So speaking about your books and everything about it, so tell us about your holiday special and promotion that you're offering.
We have a very wonderful drawing, and it's the books that make you.com Jingle Books special. And so it's a Jingle Books giveaway. And in that giveaway is going to be a beautiful furry stocking with chocolates and ornaments and 8 books. 8 books.
Oh, wow.
So books for everybody in the family. If you can get this, you will have half of your Christmas shopping done. It's a lot of fun.
I love it. I love it. And you sweeten the deal by saying half your Christmas shopping done. That's even sweeter. I absolutely love that. Well, I want to thank you for taking time out to come and hang out with us, talk about your books and your holiday special, and that I got to meet you. So thank you so much for taking time out.
Thank you, Amy. It's been delightful. I enjoyed the whole evening.
Oh, I could sit and talk to you nonstop. And I wish I could just keep picking your brain about the 1950s and diving into your books and doing all that. So, I'll have to have you on AuthorTalk so we can dive in and talk more about it. But thanks for taking time this evening to come and meet me and to come and hang out.
Thank you.
Absolutely. David.
Hello.
How are you?
Well, I finally got my camera working after I realized that it wasn't. I thought it was just off. I went, it's not accessing my camera. So I had to go through the settings and jump out of Chrome 3 or 4 times before I finally got it to reset. But I'm here.
Oh, no. I thought you just had your camera off and you were popping in and off. And I was like, oh, no, David.
No, it's just the camera wasn't working. It's like, I know I've got a camera. There's a little hole on my laptop that's right there.
The light's just not lighting. No, I get it. I'm telling you, technology, it feels like a Monday in the technology world, bad technology usually happens on Mondays, it just... It feels like that. But David, man, I haven't seen you in forever. I see you doing all kinds of cool stuff. And you got, Allentown Press going on. So you're just all over the place. And I love it.
Super, super busy. Actually, I had a show Saturday and Sunday just this weekend. So I came home from the show, had dinner, and then turned on my laptop to sign into this.
No fun. I feel important and I love it. I
You
love
are.
it.
You've always been important. You're a
Uh,
wonderful person, and we all love you.
yeah, it's fun. It's fun times. I'm telling you, it's fun times. But let's start off. Favorite Christmas movie that you've watched, you have to watch every year. What would that be for you?
Oh, I've been dreading this question because I really don't do Christmas, and I don't do Christmas movies. If I do have to pick something, it's something dealing with the Christmas Carol, probably.
Okay.
Anywhere from the old 1930s versions of it, which I don't even remember the actor's name anymore, all the way to Bill Murray's Scrooged.
Okay.
But yeah, uh, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, A Nightmare Before Christmas. Charlie Brown. I animated works best for me.
Okay. I could get with it. I am when it comes to The Nightmare Before Christmas, I think there's certain parts of it that I like. My daughters really like that movie. I don't know why, but they really do. There's parts of it that I like, and then there's other parts where I'm just like, man, this is really dark.
Yeah, it does kind of
really
go
dark.
forth,
I don't,
but,
yeah.
34 days till Halloween, so.
There you go. You're counting down. I love it. Well, what does your reading look like this time of year? Do you take a break from reading? Do you switch genres? What does your reading look like?
All of my reading lately has been mostly for editing.
Okay.
We picked up 4 authors over this year, so I've been editing their works. There's an anthology project we're working on, so I'm going through all of those short stories. We have a children's book that will be coming out, and so it's editing that. Any reading I do for fun mostly has been comic books lately. My TBR just continues to grow and grow. Once I finish writing book 3, then I'm taking a reading break and I'm going to catch up on a whole bunch of things. But I need to finish writing book 3. I'm also working on the audiobook of Necromancer's Lament, and that's taking a lot of my time. It's 3 evenings a week that I'm not writing because I'm busy recording.
Yeah. Audiobooks are really big right now, though, so it's well worth it, to take that break.
Yeah, I've been considering it for a while, and then I was talking to a blind woman who basically insisted that I make, because she wanted to hear about my book, and now she wants to hear my book.
Yeah.
And it's, well, yeah, I guess I have to at this point. I have an audience that is demanding me to do this.
Well, then even better. You're listening to your readers, so even better.
Exactly.
Right?
It's what the people want, therefore I must give the people what they want.
Yes. Give us what we want, David. Yeah. Come on.
The tricky part was I started reading, and then I realized there are 43 distinct speaking roles. So I've gathered friends and family to do some of those roles because I can do a lot of voice work, but with my nice baritone, for all the female roles in particular, it just doesn't quite suit.
I was going to ask you, how are you doing that? Like I was going to ask you, because I know that you have a lot of characters in your book and they kind of continuously build. So I was like, how are you doing your female roles?
Yeah,
like,
we're doing
me, David.
We're doing it a lot like a radio play at this point. So
okay. Fun.
It's been a lot of fun, as we're getting recorded voices and dropping their characters into the text and hearing them have conversations when, they recorded months apart from each other, and yet, the conversation is still there.
Yeah.
We recorded a couple thunderstorms, so when it's raining in the book, we can hear that in the background.
You're doing the ones I listened to that the first time. I had an audiobook recently where one of them, there was like dramatic music playing, like a dramatic scene, and it was like dramatic music quietly in the background. And it really does help set the tone for it, so I love that. I love that you're doing that. That's
we
like going all out.
Music yet. We do have where, like, when Myth ran into Celia, his owl, they communicate telepathically, so there's a tone that plays in the background as they communicate. And we'll have little music bits here and there, and where appropriate. But for the most part, we'll be just doing the reading. But
I
when
love it.
there's appropriate sounds that need to be in there, then we add those in just because it adds a new level of fun.
I love that. Like you're really like going all out and stuff for it, but it makes it more about, because I'm a sucker for a good audiobook that's also an experience, right? I'm experiencing the book. And I know like when you have an audiobook, like yes, technically you're experiencing the book, but you can like full on experience the book, right? And really like have it visually playing while they're talking. And for me, I know I just make that sound like it's just like, well, duh, Amy, is what audiobooks do. But like there are some that are more put together better than others, right? Where it's just the visualization and really I guess it's an immersion experience. Like it really immerses you into it. And those are the ones, man, I'm a sucker for those. Like I'm just a sucker for those because I love those. It really takes me out of my element and really makes me happy, which is a weird thing to say. Now that I've said that out loud, that's a really weird thing to say. But I love it. It's just, I don't know. I'm weird like that, David. But okay, so
going outside of reality is a whole lot more fun.
Yeah, that's the purpose of books, right? Exactly, all kinds of books. Especially if you don't write in nonfiction, that's the purpose of it, right? Which I love. So speaking of purposes out of reality, right? Your book. Tell everybody about your books, your publishing company, what all you've got going on. Let us in, David.
Well, my books, I can start off with, my two books, Necromancer's Lament and Necromancer's Sorrow. Necromancer's Grief is probably about 80% right now. Again, because the audio recording is taking up a lot of my time. But, that's getting close to the point of getting completed. We've talked about me being a pantser a lot in the past. And the first two books each had 15 chapters. So I, of course, had to have 15 chapters in book 3 just to, keep things even. And so I would have all 15 chapters open simultaneously. So as I go back and forth, I can keep track of continuity, as well as, go say, well, which chapter do I want to work on now? These chapters are done, but every now and then I have to go back to them anyhow, just to check to make sure that what I've written here makes sense with what I've written later on. But I think I finally have the right order for them all. And you'll be happy to know that chapter 4 is not the last chapter I'll be writing for this one. Not sure which chapter it will be, but chapter 4 is finished. Where chapter 4 was the last one I finished in the first two books.
Well, okay, that's better. And 80% is better than the last time I talked to you. I think the last time I talked to you, you were like between 30 and 60% done.
So yeah. So I've been making a lot of progress.
Yes, you have. And you're doing audiobook. So I would say you've made a lot of progress.
Plus running the company. The latest book we have, we had Haley's book, Noggin, that we carried over from when she left Rock Hill. Her book 2, Ravlian, has just released November 12th. So we have her second book, and it's a whole lot of fun. It's a nice hefty read, just like the first one is.
Oh wow! Yeah,
because Haley does not write anything short. We got her back down to about 130,000 words, so we pulled her back.
That's still a lot, but that's better.
Still a lot, but she wanted 150, and we
talked her out of it. Back. Nice, I like it. You talked her out of it.
But she's got a lot of story in there, and even breaking it down, there's still a lot of story in there.
Yeah,
and it's a lot of fun. It's a big adventure. It's it's a whole lot of we're driving forward. It's driving forward, and every now and then she'll let you catch your breath before she drives you forward again. So be prepared for a good, intense, you're in this book and you're not putting it down because you need to know what happens next.
Oh, I like a good, intense thriller, edge of your seat. You can really feel it. You don't really know. I love those for sure. I love it. But you said you just signed 4 new authors.
Yep. Right? We signed 2 that had self-published in the past. So we have Sarah Cleveland, who wrote Baird Magic. It's a romantasy. It's a it's a Goldilocks and the Three Bears retelling.
Okay.
So she's really working with the fairy tale folk in her stories here, and just building a whole new world out of that. And that should be releasing at the end of January. We'd hope to have it out by now, but Ingram Spark has been fighting with us for the past couple of months. It's like,
Yeah.
everything's in the exact same format as every other book that we've uploaded, and it's telling us that it's wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's the same as everything else. And I don't know what's wrong with them.
Welcome to your love-hate relationship, my friend.
Yes. So, we pushed the release date back, so we're hoping to have it out a couple of weeks before Valentine's, because as a romantasy, that's a good time for it to come out anyway.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
And we have another one that's it's almost a group of short stories, but it's all the same characters in the same world, and so it all takes place within the span of a couple of months. And that'll be the tentative title right now is The Death Maiden's Cookbook, because all the stories revolve around recipes and these two, and what the recipes that they make, that some have magical qualities, and dealing with just trying to figure out their life in general, and it's all wrapped around the food.
That's different. I love it.
And there will be recipes for every chapter as well. So there's much food to be had and much tastiness.
Even better. Even better. You had me at food. Yes, even better.
The anthology project we're working on is with a bunch of other writers that Haley met on Instagram and kind of joined in with the group.
Yeah.
And as they're all putting their short stories together, we offered to publish it for them. So we're in the second round of edits right now as people get these all back, and they're all dealing with mental health on the positive and negative aspects of it. We've finally settled on the title, which will be called Shadows of the Mind.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
And the next step after that is deciding which charitable organization all proceeds will be going to. So everything will be going to some mental health organization. We just haven't decided which ones yet, because everybody's working on their story. So we're not looking at, all right, that'll be the next step as we figure out the artwork and putting it together. We've got time to figure out where all the proceeds are going to go to. But that will be all of us, as well as Owl Talent Press, giving back to the community.
Nice. I love it. You got a lot that you're working on, my friend.
And then the two other authors we picked up, one is in Portugal, one is in England. We've just gone through the first rounds of edits on their stories. And so it's two other fantasy stories that are wonderful, wonderful reads. And I can't wait to have them out in physical form, because I want to have them on the shelf now.
Yeah. You need the bookshelf that goes, oh, is that what you're telling me? So far, everybody I feel like needs that. We all need that.
Yeah, I want them. I want the physical copies. I want them when I'm doing my shows to have the big sign out saying, buy this book, buy this book, buy this book.
Right? Yeah. I love it. I love it. So what are your holiday specials and offers this season?
Our holiday specials this season, we have all of our ebooks at 99 cents till the end of the year. And on our website, aùthortalk.com, and Talon is spelled with a Y. I kind of have it in my name, but it's kind of small. But with the code winter, and it's on the homepage, so you don't have to try to remember what it is. All of our books on our site are $1.99 off.
Oh, nice.
Punch in the word winter when you're checking out, and it'll take $1.99 off of each book.
I love it. So what's next for you, David, besides the fact that you're 80% done with book 3, right? What's after that?
I'm hoping to be done with the recording by end of February.
Okay.
If we get all of that done right. It should be easier as winter comes in, because there will be less noise outside to interfere with the recording, because every now and then we have to stop for a lawnmower or an airplane or something like that.
I get it.
In the snow, things will be quieter. But with once that's done, then I will have more time for the writing. So I'm hoping to, if I can maintain a schedule that, spring, early summer, I'll be done with the first copy of Necromancer's Grief. The artist is currently working on the cover for for the Death Maiden's cookbook. And then he's going to start working on my cover and then all of the interior art, since I have all of the chapter art as well. And got to get that art started as soon as possible before the book is even finished, because it takes so long to get the art done as well. So
I
as to
believe
when
that.
the book will actually come out, that will depend on edits and art and processing in Ingram Spark.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's therein.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, Ingram, like really, it differs a lot of things. So that's why I said, welcome to your love-hate relationship.
Exactly.
You have support. You have support. I feel like all of us have that love-hate relationship with Ingram. So you have support here if you need it.
I like the fact that I'm not alone in this, but I'm upset that I'm not alone in this.
I know, right? You would think that it would be one of those who were, you know, you should.
Ingram,
Would
if
feel
you're
comfort.
listening to this, help us. Help
Right?
us. Help you. Be a better company, please.
I'm telling you. I am telling you. But David, man, it's always so good to see you. I wish that I got to see you more, and I'm glad that your camera is working, so we could.
Technology.
Yeah, I know, right? But no, it's so good to see you, and I'm glad that we get to see you, and that you could take time out of your evening to come and hang out and talk about your holiday specials that you got going on at your own publishing company. I love it.
I've been looking forward to this since you announced it. I'm like, woohoo! I have to get on there. It's like, well, but will I get back in time for my show this weekend?
Oh, hopefully. But if not, there's always tomorrow too, right?
There is, but I'll be recording tomorrow, and I'm not sure I'll be getting home in time again.
Oh, I get it. Look, who's joining us. Oh, she left, but Dina was on. She was joining us.
Because I want to talk to her about all of her pink flamingos, because I live in Parma, Ohio, where pink flamingos are king. Thank you, Goulardi.
She would love that. I don't know what happened to her, but I'll text her and I'll tell her that. So if you join us tomorrow, or you can comment on it. Oh, look, maybe she popped on. Oh, she is. Dina, he has to tell you something.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Dina.
I guess the Yellowstone is over. And you're back to joining us.
Yeah,
I think so.
She's back to liking me again.
The last 30 minutes just bawling. So okay.
I wanted to tell you about the pink flamingos, because I live in Parma, Ohio, where, thanks to Goulardi, pink flamingos are king, and they are everywhere.
What? In Ohio? Are you kidding?
Oh, yeah. Parma, Ohio is known for pink flamingos, white socks, bowling shirts. It's all thanks to Goulardi from back in the 60s. And then he goes national by going on Laughing and talking about Parma. So yeah, he goes to LA and tells everybody in LA about Parma, Ohio.
That's crazy. Dina's gonna have to come visit now, because pink flamingos are her thing.
Yeah, they're in most yards. I have a couple in my yard that a friend gave me when I moved into the house. Unfortunately, but I was trying to get rid of all the thistle that had wandered off from my neighbor's yard, because thistle apparently is the neighborhood weed, and I've accidentally stepped on my flamingos. Just trying to weed them, so there are little holes in my plastic flamingos.
I did find some, and I put them on. We have, like, my author group. We have a like a secret Santa every year, and so like everything on my wish list is like all pink flamingos, and there's some that were like solar light up powered, that glow in the dark. I'm putting these on my list.
Yeah.
So definitely so. So what did I miss?
You missed a lot of good stuff, but we have to say bye to David, and hopefully David will join us tomorrow.
I don't want to go.
I know, David. I don't get to see you enough, man. I miss you. But thanks for joining us and hanging out. And I'm glad you got to tell Dina about that you live in the capital of pink flamingos. Because now she's jealous, and I love it.
I'm in Ohio, but wait until it warms up again.
Oh, yeah. No, we don't. We
got storms moving in. It's cold and windy, and it's barely 20. So yeah, stay home for now, and plan to visit sometime in the spring.
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound fun at all.
Spring. Well, I don't know. No. What's y'all's summer like? I mean,
Cleveland summer means it could be 60, it could be 95. and that's the difference between morning and afternoon, and
But it's a dry heat, right?
Yeah, 95 is nothing to us Texans. Okay, like once you get to 115, then you can talk to us. But 95 is like, oh, should we get our sweater out? Like that's nothing to us.
Well, no, it's just we've got Lake Erie in the back in the backyard, and therefore we also have 95% humidity for the 95 degrees.
That's Houston in a nutshell. Like, yeah, that's nothing.
I remember.
You walk outside.
I remember my visit to Houston, and yeah, it was a bit moist.
Just a bit for sure. But David, you are welcome back anytime. If you can make it tomorrow, I would love to have you. If not, I'm going to talk about your books for sure. But thanks for hanging out with us, David.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right. Trisha, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, having fun. My bestie Dina's back, so I don't know what kind of trouble we're going to get into because we get in trouble together. But we've been kicking it off with everybody talking about their favorite holiday movie that they watch. And if you don't watch holiday movies, what is your one go-to movie that you watch? So what would be yours?
Our holiday movie in my house is The Holiday. I don't know if you know that romantic comedy with
Cameron Diaz and
Jude Law. Jack Black and Jude Law. Yes. So we discovered that, I don't know, probably when it first came out, and we always watch it while we're wrapping presents and having drinks, me and my husband. So yeah,
that's a good one. I love it. Like, she's never cried, and then she finally cries, and she's so excited that she's crying, and it's so great. And I love Jack Black. I'm a huge Jack Black fan. So you had me at that, and I'm surprised that nobody else has mentioned that because that is a fabulous movie. So yes, okay, you are I don't know. Dina doesn't like Christmas movies, so I would say you're around like-minded people, but it's just me and you, girl, up here. Because Dina's in her own. She's in her own little hot pink mess over there, for sure. But oh my goodness. Okay, so what does your reading look like for the holidays? Do you stop reading? Do you switch genres? Do you just keep on as if the holidays really aren't present, even though it's chaos around you? What does it look like for you?
I am usually listening to an audiobook if I'm doing a chore or cooking and right now I'm on a super romance kick. So, and I haven't started the Christmas romances yet. So I think that's what I'm jumping to next.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm on a romance kick for some reason.
Okay.
Well, it's usually if I'm writing fantasy, I'm reading romance. So, and then if I'm writing romance, then I read fantasy because I can't read fantasy and write fantasy because I don't want it to leak into what I'm writing.
Yeah. No, I get it. If you ever need a recommendation and the book ever gets published, I recommend Dina's book. It's a great one.
Up.
If it ever gets published, that would be the one. That's the only book that's ever made me cry that I've read the entire way. A lot. It makes me mad every time I've read it. I think I'm on like 6. I've read it a lot. And every time I read it, it makes me mad because it's not like I forgot that there was a cliffhanger, but I'm just not anticipating it. And then I generally I have to stop talking to Dina after I read it because it just makes me mad. But anyways, that would be one that I recommend. So if she ever publishes it, Willow would be the one that I'd recommend for you to read. It's fabulous. It's just great. It's to die for. But, the author just refuses to publish it. So,
I'll be waiting for that.
Yeah. See? Yeah. I'm drawing up anticipation, Dina. I'm drawing up anticipation. She's going to murder me when I get off this, but it's okay.
I was going to say just a little digging there.
She loves it. She loves it. No, she's probably going to be like, I'm not joining you tomorrow, but I can see that. I'm on a big romance kick myself. I'm on a big romance kick myself. And I've read some interesting ones, some different ones. I've discovered new romance genres that I did not know were in there. So it's been a lot of fun. But you write in fantasy. So is it like a young adult fantasy? Tell us about your fantasy books.
It is, yes. So, and I have a sale on the first book in the Realm Chronicles series. It's To Be a Fey Queen. Ooh. It's 99 cents through tomorrow on the ebook on Amazon. So that's the first book in the Realm Chronicles series. There's 4 books now, and the 5th book I just finished with my edits. It will release in July of 2025. And that's the finale, so I'm super excited about that one.
Nice. Okay. So you didn't let people hang on to cliffhangers for a real long time? I love it.
No, yeah. So it's been 3 years. 3 years, the whole series. So that's not too bad. 5 books in 3 years.
No, that's pretty good though. That's pretty good. I haven't even written a book. So to be honest, you and Dina are ahead of me because I haven't written a book at all. Like, I'm just going to be honest. I just market them. I have not written them, and I just read them, to be fair. So yeah, you and Dina have beat me at that.
Well, all that counts though. You're in our book world.
Yeah, I hang out with you guys, so I feel like I'm an author by association. That's what we're going to call me. I'm an author by association, or guilty by
a little bit of kind of rubs off on Amy.
It does. It does. You know, it's okay. So to be fair, I will tell you this story because it's relevant. So I was at lunch with my parents and my husband the other day, and they were saying something. I was being dramatic about something. Okay, I'll be honest. I was just being dramatic, and I just really ran with it. So this year on my birthday, my family had gone on a family cruise. Me and my husband chose not to do it because we were moving into a new house, so I didn't go. Right. And it was on my birthday, and I was being all dramatic. I was like, yeah, it's like they went and they cried the whole time on this cruise. And I was like, their tears just filled the ocean and raised it up like 6 feet. And they're like, oh my God, you obviously hang out with writers. Because that was very extreme, you know? And then I went like super dark.
Overly dramatic, Amy.
I know. And then I went super dark, and I was like, their tears just fed my soul. Like, I was like, oh wow. I really have been hanging out with writers too long when this is just in my everyday vocabulary of talking, you know? So I'm just like, oh, yeah. Then I just kind of went quiet because I was like, I can't believe I said any of that. And I meant it all. So yes, I'm guilty by association of hanging out with authors. So I just live through you guys. 100%. But tell us a little bit about your fantasy series. What is it about? Where does it take place? How did the idea come about? So tell us a little bit more about it.
Right. So it's kind of funny. I saw a advertisement for an anthology that the fantasy character was supposed to have a mental health problem. So, and it had a fairy on it. I'd never written fairies, never thought about writing fairies, really knew nothing about fairies. And I'm not sure that was a good thing or a bad thing, but so I wrote about this fairy princess who has anxiety disorder. And the anthology never got off the ground, but then I had a short story, and I ended up putting her in the finale to a crossover series called The Kingdom Journals, where she comes to the human realm.
Dina's gone crazy.
She comes to the human realm, and she helps the witches defeat another evil witch. And so that's really cool because she lives in Middle Earth, in contemporary Middle Earth, which is under our human realm. But she comes and she helps the witches. And then when that series was over, it was really sad and hard to let go of that character. So I started the series, The Realm Chronicles, featuring this fairy princess. It starts out, she's 15, and her father hands her her crown. She's the first ever female monarch in her realm. So not only does she have every other monarch in the realm like saying no, a female can't be monarch, but she also has people in her own country who don't think she should be queen. So she has those challenges in the beginning, as well as this evil witch spirit who's now hunting her from the Kingdom Journal series, which we see in that finale. So that's kind of in a nutshell.
Oh wow. Okay. I like it.
Did you do any research on like Fae and
I didn't do tons. I knew a little bit, like from Midsummer's Night Dream and Shakespeare. I knew a few things like they can't lie and they're susceptible to iron, but I didn't follow any of those rules. So my fairies have wings, they can fly, they can lie, although they usually don't. They're supposed to be mostly a good natured people and good to each other. Obviously there are some who don't follow those rules, but yeah, so I didn't go with the rules of all the fairies, kind of the genre. I kind of spun them into my own little fantasy character.
Well, from what I've seen is like Scottish fairies are different than Irish fairies. You know what I'm saying? I mean, every locale has their own like way that their mythical beings interact, right? So
Yeah, I think everybody has their own little take. So nobody's gotten mad at me so far.
If you write it, then it can be, your thing. So, I mean, someone going to come up, is a fairy going to come up and say, look, you can't do this, right? Are you going to have an ultimate authority come to you and say, okay, look, you're writing this wrong?
Well, hopefully not. Yeah, as long as I don't offend tons of people, I'm good.
No, I mean, I think it's more about, I don't know, I think that's why you write in fantasy, because you kind of just make up your own roles. You pull in like inspiration from other things, but you kind of are supposed to warp them and make them your own kind of thing. So like I could see that, because I'm not, like I said, like when I was talking to Bjorn, I'm not a huge like fantasy lover in the sense of like that's the only thing that I read. I have dabbled in it. Like Bjorn has totally converted me into like a historical fantasy Norse mythology kind of, realm, and Vikings. And then like when you add mafia into those things, I'm a very happy person. I'm a very happy person. There has to be some kind of like action, blood, gore, or something in there for me, But I mean, I can see that. And I think the fun part of fantasy, you would know probably a lot more than I do, but it's really kind of just creating this thing that's your own, this universe, society, creatures, whatever, right? That's your own, and like really just letting your creativity fly, which I think is why fantasy to me is one of the hardest genres to write, and the longest gaps between books is in fantasy, because there's so much detail that goes into it, especially if you're world building and doing those kinds of things. Then you have like family timelines and maps and all those things, so yeah, I would say it's a very difficult genre for sure.
Yeah, I definitely get in deep.
So what made you have a love of fantasy?
I've always loved fantasy from, when I was in grade school reading Dorothy and the Wizard in Oz, the 13 book series. I read them all, and then jumping into Arthurian legends and Merlin and magic. And I loved all of those. And when I didn't read Lord of the Rings until I got to college, but then and The Hobbit, I just love those.
I can't tell you how many times I tried to read The Hobbit. And I mean, my mom bought me like the huge one, that it was, like this big, right? And I was like, man, I could not do it. Of course, I was probably way too young, because I think she bought it for me when I was like 10. And I was like, yeah, I'll read this. And, I was reading everything else that I could get my hands on. But I was just like, and I never wanted to tell her I can't get into this. Sorry. Because she would have been so mad. I wasted that money. Yeah, sorry.
Man, I don't even think I've owned those. Like, I've only watched the movies, to be honest.
Never watched the movie.
See, I feel like, for me, right, I feel like sometimes in fantasy movies, it's easier for me to, like, envision what's coming than necessarily in reading it sometimes, But that's just my own personal, opinion of it, because sometimes it's just hard for me to use my imagination. My imagination is very weak. Now, you give me like a good romance book. Oh, I can. I don't know why, but I can just imagine that. That's so much easier for me. But like a fantasy one for me, I have to like go back and read the characters and then make sure I'm aligned. And then I'm just, it's very stressful for me, which I don't know. I always thought that like psychological thrillers would be stressful because they're really like messing with your mind, and that would really get to people. But for some reason, those are so easy for me. So I feel like psychologically, I don't know. I'm just wired wrong. Yeah.
Well, I think there's genres for everyone.
Yeah. Well, and that's no, I mean, I think that for sure. But I think like in a roundabout way of saying it is I have a lot of respect for fantasy writers, because fantasy writers to me have the hardest job as a writer, and you really have to love that genre, and it comes across in all of the writing, because you are world building and creating these things and setting off, like it's completely unknown, like no one else is in your head, and you have to convert that into paper, right, or into words on paper. So to me, I have the most respect for fantasy writers, because it is the most difficult, in my opinion, to write. So that's why I was curious how you got into fantasy, because it's one of those you love it or you hate it. There's no like gray space, So I'm like, oh man, like that's I don't know, to encounter a fantasy author, you know, I don't get to encounter those very often. Romance all the time, historical fiction all the time, children's authors, those kinds. But fantasy isn't one that I encounter all the time. So I'd like to just pick y'all's brain and been like, why is like, how do you get into that? Like, because I want to get into it. It's just really hard sometimes.
Yeah, I definitely got a review one time that she said, I think there are too many characters in this book. I just can't follow them. I was like, okay, well, sorry. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, but I think that's subjective too, because
Yeah.
I've read, you know, straight. Well, I just read the last. Sorry, JD Robb, and man, there were so many characters in that, and I was like, okay, no, that's not her. That's her. You know, trying to keep all of them straight in my mind, and I'm thinking, you know, there's some books that I've read that I think I need a crib sheet.
Yeah. But I think in like the fantasy arena, like when you guys were talking about like fairies and stuff, see, I am just completely unknown to all of that stuff. So like I'm just fascinated. Like when you guys were just talking, how you're like, well, I just broke the rules and did what I want. And I wanted to high five you because I'm like, yes, this is why you write in fantasy, because you just break the rules, want to do what you want to do, and I love it. Absolutely love it. But yeah, no, I didn't even get the whole fairy thing. That's why I'm really glad Dina asked that, because I don't know why my mind didn't go there for some reason. But I love it. And I love just see, this is why, you know, the 12 days, David's been a part of it for a long time. Julie's been a part of it for a long time. Dina, this is her first year joining, but she's done all the work behind the scenes for the 12 days. But this is like the fun part for me, is getting to talk to you about fantasy that I don't encounter, you know, and like just picking your brain about it. Cause I'm like, man, I'm like envious of it, because you can write in that and you love it. And I'm just like, man, I want to love it so much. Just how do I tell me what to do? Tell me what to do so I can do that. Cause there's like, there's so many fantasy books out there.
Suspend belief in reality and then just dive in.
I'm just going to dive into Trisha's books. Okay. Like that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to dive into hers after I finish Bjorn's. I'm going to dive on in, and you guys are just going to be like, I'm going to jump into the deep end, and I want your guys to help me swim. Okay. That's what we're going to do. All right.
Mine may be good at entry point because it is a first person book. So you're only getting one perspective.
Oh, okay.
So I think like a lot of times when I do have that third person and there's so many different perspectives to pay attention to, it is harder. But mine is sort of just one person, first person point of view.
Yeah, I'm reading a magic book right now. Does that tell you?
Yeah,
Maybe?
it does.
Does now it tell you what I'm reading for the competition?
Yeah. No, it does. It does. But see, yeah. See, I love that. That makes me like your books more, Trisha. It just makes me like them more, because I'm over here just like some of the ones that I've tried to read. It starts off like the first chapter has 10 people, and I'm like, oh, I don't remember their names, you know, like, and I get stuck on those things. Like my OCD takes off in certain areas. Right. So it's good to know that yours is like first person, because that just makes me want to read it more. It makes me that much more happier. And you showed the cover of it, and it just seems fun to me, you know? I love it. See, look, it just looks fun. I don't know. It's like a happy book. It's a happy book.
On something kind of related, but really not. When y'all are reading a book and it's got characters' names and you have no way to know how to pronounce them, do you just make up names?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm not a complete sociopath, but yeah.
I thought everybody did that. If not,
Yeah.
I just don't tell people. If not, I'm just like, oh yeah. If they'd say it a different way, I'm like, yeah, that's how I've said it this whole time. Yeah. 100.
It's like,
Yeah.
you know, Fadedra or something. I'm like, yeah, Frank did this, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I just want simple names.
I like it.
I'm a
I like
simple girl.
it. Yeah. Well, I don't know. You know bigger words than I do. She will use really big words that while she's talking, I have to Google them, you know? So I don't really know, but I do.
I do it
yeah.
on purpose.
Well, I listen to so many audiobooks. A lot of times I don't know how to spell whatever. And I write a review and I'm like, okay, I don't know how to spell this name because I listened to it, but this is how I think you might spell it, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Yes. Yes. I have felt that way in numerous times. And I have like, just, yes. There's been
And maybe I
times
could go back and look at the blurb. That's a good idea. I could go back and look at the blurb on the title cover, but yeah.
Yeah, but when you're writing your review, you know, I don't know. I don't really want to do that. But man, there's been several times that I have done that, or like you know, there's a word that's spelled a certain way and I pronounce it wrong. And then it's just like, well, I just sounded it out when I spelt it and it was like completely off. But yes, audiobooks have saved my life when it comes to pronunciation. Like 100%. They have saved.
Well,
saved
I know that Kindles, and it doesn't have to do with names, but Kindles are great because if I come to a word and if I don't know it, and there are books that I read that I don't know the word, I love it when I come to a word I don't know in a book. I'm thinking, yes, right? Because there's so many and you're like, okay, you really need to use a bigger word for this one right here. But so like if I have to go and use the dictionary function, I love that because I think even though I'm like doing my reading as an escape, I'm still learning something. I might not ever use it again, or I might use it a lot more than I ever need to again. But I mean, reading is supposed to feed your soul and feed your mind. That's my whole thing about reading.
See, I love it. Like these are all the reasons why I'm telling you, I'm like dying to get into fantasy. Like I feel like fantasy hits all of these things for so many people, and I'm like dying to get into it. That's why I'm just like, oh, you write fantasy? Tell me all about it. Okay, I need to know. Right?
Well, see, David said that Haley has a pronunciation guide for her characters, and he has one for his magical language.
Yeah, which is nice. So if you're anything like me, I'm not a super strong reader. I'm not even going to lie to you. So when it comes to pronunciation of things, I go to Google and I have to hear it. And if I hear it, then it like resonates. If I just visually see it and I sound it out, because like I'm having to help my daughter with sounds, right? My daughter's in kindergarten. I'm having to help her with sounds. And I'm like, well, but if you do T, like TEA, right? But if you sound it out, it doesn't sound like T. So I'm just like, then I really stress myself out. So I'm like, can someone just say it for me? You know, it's one of those things, but I think a pronunciation guide is genius, which fantasy writers all have those things. They're so creative. Like,
man, what did we do before they came out with like Google Translate and stuff like that, where you can actually hear the word? I mean, even the dictionary, you know, the online dictionary will do it for you now. What did we do before that? We were just all a bunch of people who were thought we were so smart, and actually we didn't know anything.
it's true.
Or we were constantly getting up to go to the next room to get the huge dictionary that was this thick, right? Yes.
That's where my mind went. Yes, because I was like, but then we were like, I don't know if you guys are anything like me, but then you spent like 5 minutes trying to find the word in the dictionary, and then you just kind of give up because you're just like, well, I give up, you know?
Right.
Yeah, because you rabbit hole for sure. But no, so okay, so Trisha, tell us one more time what your holiday special is for your books, and when your final one is going to come out, so we can all do it. Because I need to have your books read before the final one, but I need to sync them in time, so I'm not an angry person on a cliffhanger.
No, you'll be fine. You got 7 months. So
okay, all right.
The special is To Be a Fae Queen. It's 99 cents on Amazon through tomorrow night and Cyber Monday night, I would say. And then the finale is To Be a Fae, which comes out in July of 2025.
I love it. July is a good month too. My daughter was born in July, so then therefore it's a great month. And I believe, well, me and Dina are in June, but close enough. It's great.
It's all summertime, right?
It's a great time. But Trisha, I want to thank you for hanging out with us. What a fun conversation. I love to pick fantasy authors' brains. I absolutely love it. And for being patient and your time to come and hang out.
Oh, this is so much fun listening to everyone.
Oh,
thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining. All right. Tong, how are you?
Good. How about you?
We are doing good. You know, I always give a time frame of, you know, a 2-hour block. And even when I did the 12 days every day and they were an hour, I always went over. Time is just a really bad thing for me, I guess. But Tong, do you have a favorite holiday movie that you watch, or a favorite movie that you watch this time of year?
Well, I like Home Alone, but I don't watch it every year.
Home Alone is a good one, though. Like that.
Yeah, it is really good.
That's a good one. I'll give you that one. Dina, have you seen Home Alone?
No.
Dina, what am I going to do with you, Dina? Oh my goodness.
I'm not really a movie person, but I can tell you that I've seen Rocky Horror Picture Show probably 100 times.
See, and I've never seen that one, so it's fair. We are fair because I've never seen that one at all. So, Tong, tell us about your holiday reading. Do you focus on holiday books? Do you take time off to read or not read? Do you just continue as if the holidays aren't really chaos around you? What is your reading like for the holidays?
I just continue to read. I have a bad habit of reading multiple books at the same times.
Mhm.
So right now I'm reading 3 books in Chinese, 3 Chinese books, and 2 books in English.
Wow. Really want to, challenge yourself. Okay. I love it. I love it.
I think I'm just too greedy. Like you have a table of good, like a feast. You want to try every dishes, and then you don't know where to start.
Yeah. No, I understand that 100%. So
Yeah.
tell us all about the genre that you write in your books for the holidays.
I write historical fiction and literary fiction. I mean, my first 2 books are historical fictions, and the only first one has been published. So next book is the title is called The Painting the Bird. I'm still looking for a home for it. First book is called The House Filler, and it was published last October. So it's been a year. And the third book has to be a literary fiction because the time period is too new. It's not like 50 years ago. So it has to be a literary fiction. That's my writing style.
Oh, okay. So what time period do your books take place in?
The first book, the time period is between 1920 to 1966.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Yeah. Second is between 1938 to 1970.
Okay. And what specifically during those time periods is the book about?
Second Sino-Japanese War. So Japanese invaded China. When they surrendered in 1945, then the civil war started in China between the communists and the nationalists. So by 1949, when communists took power, then China went through the regime change and become a socialist communist country. And so the 3 books about 3 generations of Chinese, a Chinese family, basically.
Oh, okay. Fun, interesting. So how long did those take you to write, and what kind of history went into those?
It took me nearly 20 years because I started in 2004, but I had to stop for 2 years because when I first started, I was writing in Chinese, but then I realized that I couldn't get any help when I wrote in Chinese, right?
Right.
How do you get into a critique group? How do you get beta readers? How do you get an editor? So even publisher. And also because I was still suffering the repetitive strain injuries on my both arms. So I was on disability leave way back when, and I wrote about 17 letters way back when the book started. Like the form I used were letters. One sister wrote letters to another sister. And about after 17 letters, I couldn't continue. Just physically, I couldn't. So I stopped for 2 years, restarted in 2006, and started to take creative writing courses and join critique groups and all, like basically learning from scratch. And so that's why I said it's nearly 20 years. But the third book is published, it will be 20 years.
That's dedication. That's dedication for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely a labor of love at that point. At 20
for sure.
Years. Yeah,
because certainly it doesn't put food on the table. It doesn't feed you. So without passion, without love, I don't think one can continue. Right? How do you do that? Has to be.
Yeah. No, for sure. That's why we do it's usually the 12 days of page turners. This year it's 12 days into 2 for the page turners, and it's just an act of love. And Dina works on books. She does cover design and interior design and websites and just makes everything look so pretty. We just love it.
Yeah.
Everything looks pretty.
I'm looking forward to read your book, Dina.
I know. Dina, you weren't on. Okay, it was fair game. You weren't on, and then this is what happens, and then now you're on, and now I'm just buttering you up because you weren't on for that time period. I mean, I love you dearly, But just saying. I'm just saying. I have her book. Just saying. I might share it. You never know.
We're having a food fight next lunch. I'm just going to tell you. When you get smacked in the face.
It's a good thing that is not until next year. So I believe that we will all forget what has been said. Okay.
I have a memory for these things. Don't worry. I'll remember.
She means it with love, that she's just going to give me a really big hug. What she means. And I'm not going to get a phone call after this at all. She's just going to hug me and tell me how awesome I am and how I've motivated her to continue in her writing journey. That's what she's going to tell me for all you guys listening.
Hey, look, you do write fantasy.
My goodness, that was a good one. I love it. Yeah. So that'll be our historical fiction right there for you, Tong, is the history of, when Dina gave Amy a really big hug for talking about Willow. That's
for sure. Yeah.
She should have already known that, though. Like, I talk about it every chance I get to, so she should have already known it was going to happen.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. But no, so I want to dive in because I want to know more about it, because historical fiction, like you've heard me say, history is a love of mine, as you love history. And so what made you pick, those moments in time and that time period? Is it just one? Did you experience those things? Is it one that you just were really fascinated about and you dove in deeper into it, and so you want to educate? What made you pick those time periods specifically?
The first book is based on my grandmother's story.
Oh, okay.
So that's why the time period was between 1920 to 1966. The second book is based on my parents' story, mainly my mother's story. So that's why the time period. And third book was based on my own story before I came to Canada. So third book starts from 1962 and ended in 1988. So
Okay.
it's a family story. Yeah. It's like a family saga, right?
Yeah. It's been like one that's kind of been passed down and you're just telling it for all to hear instead of just passing it down.
Yeah.
Nice. See? Yeah. Those are the kind of historical fiction books that I encounter, and I love those because you're letting people kind of into your family history in a sense, in a fictional way, which I love. I find those things to be very fascinating. Tina, do you like historical fiction?
I do like historical fiction because I think that I'm able to learn stuff from it.
Yeah. See, telling you, I love it. And that's not, 20 years is a long time. I'm not going to lie to you, but it also makes sense into why it took 20 years. So it's kind of one of those, but historical fiction just generally takes a lot of time because you have all of the historical research that you have to do and time period checks and dates and those kinds of things. And some get super extreme where it's like the weather that it would be on that day, and having to research all of that. And so, it takes time. It takes
I'm lucky in terms that we have internet today, right? So I was able to, for instance, buy the photocopies of the newspapers published in the 1930s and 40s. Can you believe that? Like without internet, this wouldn't be happening, right? So it takes time, but also there's resource, there's help.
To kind of make the process faster.
Yeah,
for sure. I could see that. And then you said your last one is a literary fiction because it takes time, place closer to actual time. Yeah. So where are you going to go from then? Are you going to continue in historical fiction and literary fiction? Are you going to dabble in a different genre? What does the future look like for you?
The future, I'm planning to write another trilogy. The title of the trilogy is Oh, Canada. So that'll be the immigrant story, right?
Basically, okay.
Yeah, it has to be literary fiction. I'm not very good at, sci-fi or like genre fictions. So I love to read the good ones, but I'm not good at writing them. So I'm stuck with my little, literary fiction. I think I have hope in this genre, right? Yeah.
No, I can understand that. So tell us a little bit about your holiday special and promotion that you're running for this season.
Well, because my book is traditionally published, I don't have any decision-making power to offer any discount. I just checked on Amazon and the Indigo website. They're all like regular price. I don't have any power or influence over that.
Right.
I wish I can offer readers a discount or special, but I just can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so, maybe where can people go to find you to learn more about your books and see what your, story is that you're telling?
They're available on Amazon, both Amazon.ca and Amazon.com. Indigo, which is a Canada book chain, is like a Amazon, right? But smaller. Barnes and Noble, Walmart, and Kobo, a whole bunch of places, and also in some Canadian bookstores, like local bookstores. I also Dina just built me a website. the site is tong-ge.com. I'm still trying to learning how to run it efficiently. I'm slow, but I'm learning, and it's fantastic. Dina has done a fantastic job. I love it so much.
No, we love Dina here. We are Dina's biggest fans, and she is our she's our biggest fan too, but we love Dina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
She's
I
great.
see that. Yeah.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. Well, another reason it took me so long to write the 3 books is because English is my second language.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
there's a huge difference between Chinese and English. And for instance, we only have one tense. We don't have like a future tense, past tense, past perfect.
Right.
We don't have plurals. We only have singular. Our verbs do not change with subject. So we say you do, I do, she do. We don't say she does. Our preparation, like preposition, used differently. So it's like lots of challenging writing in English, especially writing fictions. That's why it took so long.
Yeah. No, I can understand that. I feel like American English is the hardest language to learn because there is also multiple words that mean different things.
Exactly.
The same word. So it is very difficult. I can 100% understand that, and I get that 100%. But Tong, we want to thank you for taking time out of your evening to come and hang out with us and talk to us about your book and listen to everyone else as they were talking about yours, and just spending time with us.
Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Dina, how's it going? How was your Yellowstone?
Oh my God, I cried.
Well,
I cried.
we understand.
So, but it's coming back on again in like 30 minutes, and I'm going to rewatch it. And then, yes, I'm not a dummy. I did record it too.
I know. I didn't call you a dummy. I know that you did. Oh my goodness, Dina. Okay. Well, as you guys have been listening, obviously when we kicked off, Dina doesn't watch Christmas movies because she's just like a bah humbug fan over here, is what we've all decided. So if you have a favorite movie that you watch,
Christmas. I never got into Christmas until my son, until he was until he was 10. And then after that, no. I put up 2 Christmas trees in the last 20 years. That's
Dina, I'm all up in it. Winkle's coming to visit. My tree's up. My house is
lights up all year long. I have Christmas lights up behind my desk. They're pink.
Okay, so you're getting into the spirit. I'm telling you, Twinkle's coming to visit and everything
from it as well. I have a high heel shoe and a leopard print ball and a margarita.
I like it.
The margarita
one is the best one right there, besides the leopard. I love it.
I know. I looked at that and I thought, I bet you Amy needs one of these.
I need just an entire leopard tree. You know what I'm saying? I just need an entire leopard tree. That's what I need. But okay, so you guys, we've heard several authors this evening in between mine and Dina's banter, which she secretly loves me and she's not really going to have a food fight with me. At least that's what I'm telling myself. We're going to run with it. Okay. So anyways.
I do want to hit you upside the face with a tomato.
Can it just be like a slice? Because I feel like a whole tomato would hurt. Can it just be like
it'll be sliced. It'll be sliced.
All right, that's cool. I can wipe it off. It'll be fine. No bruising. Okay? But no. Anyways, so you have heard some fantastic authors talk about their books in between me and Dina bantering and having fun and their holiday offers that they have this year. And I say this every year around this time, and I mean it. I myself get so much shopping done when I do the 12 days of Christmas. I have a lot of readers in my family, and I have become a very avid reader thanks to Dina over here challenging me to read. And what is it? J.D. Robb's like 60 books, and I'm not anywhere near
the in-depth series.
In-depth series. I'm not even anywhere near finishing at all. But
I need to start over.
You could, and you probably would catch up to where I'm at in like a week. But anyways, besides the point. So make sure that you go and take advantage of all of these holiday promotions that these authors are doing. The greatest thing that you can do for any author is to check out their book from the library, purchase it from Amazon or from them personally, and to leave them a review. Good, bad, ugly, it all makes them better and stronger writers and encourages them to keep going. Our life would be so boring, you guys, if we didn't have writers, we didn't have books. Books are what create movies and take us out and entertain us. So the world would be such a boring place if we did not have writers and authors. So make sure that you go and you support them this holiday season and support the reader in your family and take advantage of these holiday promotions. But in case you missed any of them, you can watch this replay anytime. But we also will be doing this again tomorrow from 6 to 8. So make sure that you come 8-ish. I'm going to say 8-ish because, hell, it's almost 9, okay? We had such fun conversations. But make sure that you take advantage of them. Join us tomorrow. It will be our last day doing the holiday promotions for this year. So make sure that you take advantage of us. Come and tune in. I'm gonna coerce Dina to join me again tomorrow. So we'll see if I'm successful at that or not. But until tomorrow, everybody, happy holidays, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now, everybody.